All right. How's it going, my magnificent sons of bitches? And I have an old face here. Somebody that you people haven't seen in a while, particularly if you're on my channel, which is the guy formerly known. Actually, it'd be this way because everything's opposite on this damn thing. The guy you know is Blake the Reaper. Uh, Blake Ratliff. Had a pretty good career. We had a pretty good run on YouTube back whenever YouTube was probably of better quality than it is right now. Everything's kind of like cheapened and kind of dumbed down a little bit on these internets. But we'll go ahead and start off because I want to kind of ask you. You were heavily involved in YouTube. I was heavily involved in YouTube. We had a lot of people out there like Dark Horse, Manny Gentleman, Don Banks, WJ, Brad Rules. You had all these different kind of personalities on YouTube, and putting out content on the internet. The original internet influencers. Bruce Blitz is another one. What do you think of the direction that social media has went on from probably say 2014, 2015, 2016 to where we're at today, man?
Why do I think it went that way?
Yeah, well, I mean, how do you think it's went? Like, do you still get on that much anymore? And when you do get on, do you see the same kind of stuff that I see?
I I get on, but it's not as fun. It's not like I have to go out of my way to, I guess, get my algorithm down to where it's not just fear mongering propaganda. And you can't. It's like you can't joke around anymore, and everybody takes everything serious. And by the way, shout out Dark Horse, Josh. By the way, I've been talking to him recently. Hope you're doing good if you're watching this. But it's just not the same anymore, dude. That's why I just mainly, I guess, just I try to just motivate people and try to entertain people at the same time and try to spread the word of Christ. And other than that, man, I try to stay away from it. It's just too. It's I think people are brainwashed and they don't want to accept that or admit that, and they think they're not, but they truly are.
I agree with that. And if you look at these institutions today and the public education system, and you hear all these people that say that they have a doctorate in this, they're either, one day they'll be legal experts, the next day, especially if you go ahead and comment on like media channels. Uh, these people here, uh, they're always like, if you're talking to them, it'll be the same sock account and stuff. They'll say that well, I'm a legal expert, and then the very next there'll be a doctor expert, and it seems like a lot of these people are. I believe that 75% of the internet is fake. I believe a lot of these people that are on the internet are kind of fake. They're basically liberal arts majors, and I noticed that this is something that the institutions take out, especially like the people that are coming out, academics that particularly deal in like secular atheism and stuff, tend to be bitterness. And it seems that these new people that they're putting in, these new internet influencers, like they do a lot of shock shit. I did the video on Melanie Mac the other day, and this is going to be a growing trend, I think, going in, which we're going to talk about that. But they tend to you know do a lot of bitterness here on the internet and stuff, and they promote that stuff and create hysteria. And I'll get to you here in a second, Stephen. Just give me a moment. But this is kind of like what they're pushing out there. So the internet isn't as fun. Whenever we were doing like works, we were working together, trying to help each other get over and whatnot. Uh, we were promoting stuff for the most part, products, whether it be wrestling, movies, whatever it is. Uh, you know, uh, it's we were doing stuff and we were trying to be proactive, and then we would try to go ahead and debunk a lot of the stuff that they're trying to push right now. We were actually against all this, and I want to go ahead and mention Travis Staley because Travis understands that the reason why the internet went this direction is because of the last bill that Obama passed, which is HR 5181, which was the counter propaganda. Understand that the media doesn't want any propaganda. They want to be able to fearmonger and take over. I'll go and let you take over real quick. I'm gonna send this link to Steven though while you're taking over.
No, you're good. That's hilarious though. That if that's I have no clue about this, so I'm just speaking on what you said on this bill. If that truly is the bill, then it's hilarious because it contradicts everything that's going on because it's nothing but propaganda. That's literally all that's getting pushed to you, and I think that you're being kind of fair, a little too fair, by saying 75% is fake. I would say it's closer to I would say it's closer to 90%. And by fake, I mean just mindless parrots or stock accounts or in all honesty, they bots. So I genuinely don't take it serious anymore, unfortunately. Like to me, I think the internet is a trap, and I try to explain that to people by saying, if you get too sucked into it, and you truly, like, let's say you get on Twitter or whatever it is now, X or Instagram, Facebook, and all you do is go in there and just see most people are fake. Like, they don't, like, for me, I'll come on YouTube and Facebook and I'm honest. I'm like, hey, this is the type of person I am. This is the way I used to live life. This is the way I live now. I try to promote healthy lifestyle. I try to promote Christ. I try to promote, but I don't bullshit about how I am. I don't portray my life to be something it's not, and it's just it's got too fake for me, dude. And part of me believes that it's getting better and more people are being open and honest, and then part of me just thinks it's getting worse. And I really have no clue which way is the truth.
Yeah, and I agree totally, man. Welcome, Stephen Rose. Here, I'll go ahead and try and put do you got a YouTube channel, Blake?
Yeah, it's Blake the Reaper or Advice from You. I think if you put either one in, it'll pop up.
Yeah, if you can just go ahead. If y'all share y'all's links to your YouTubes, I can get Steven's. But if you share your YouTube link with me and Facebook, I'll put it whenever I upload this thing. I'll put your Facebook or your YouTube in the if it'll let me, I'll put it in the descriptions. But no, I agree with you 100%, man. A lot of these accounts are stock accounts, particularly whenever you're talking about the mainstream media. And ultimately, this is the thing. And I know that Stephen Rose and I was setting up for this a little bit, so Stephen probably understands. Yeah. Is that I know that a lot of, because where you're going to get the narrative at for this is on Twitter. That's where all media narratives start, is on Twitter. They end up orchestrating them. They'll put them out there. They'll get an algorithm behind it. And then they'll try, and it's just like, okay, you had they were trying to push the Russia-Ukraine thing, and nobody wants to get behind that because nobody wants to spend any money, especially at a time of hyperinflation. Well, whenever you can't con people out of your money, you have to go ahead and try and create another narrative, which ended up becoming, they tried to push Turkey and Armenia. That was the next one that they tried to push because they've got to get people invested so they can print out money and collapse the dollar. You know what I'm saying? And so when that one didn't work out, well, freaking Saturday, whenever everybody's watching college football, they all of a sudden have Palestine going into Israel and blowing up everything to try and get, now you've got the Ukraine-Russia thing going. You've got the Turkey-Armenia thing going. You have them trying to push into Yemen over some bullshit with the RIMPAC operation, I'm sure that they're filming, laughing their ass off, trying to convince everybody that going into these countries and taking over and killing millions of people is the way to go. But first off, you look at this generation, and Stephen will be the first one to sit there and tell you that, he's a supervisor, or I'm a supervisor too, that they can barely operate, even the little remedial tasks that they have right now. And I'll go ahead and kick it to Stephen right now to see what he thinks about this. And then you can go ahead and kick it to Blake when you're done, Stephen.
All right. Is my go?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, before I continue adding to what he just said, because he's right. Our military is not as strong as it used to be. In fact, our workforce is even just as bad. You can't even get anybody to do the simple task anymore. People don't know basic math, basic literature. People don't even know how to do the basic job skill sets required. I don't know because I work with these types of people now. It's becoming more abundantly clear. People don't even know how to turn on a simple switch to, let's say, like a water fountain machine, or a simple switch to like a electric power jack, where the instructions tell you otherwise. But to get back to what Prodigal was saying with the Ukraine Russia thing and Israel thing and the Yemen thing and all that. And then we also had the Niger coup uprising that died down for about 3 months. It started in June and then it ended sometime around the end of July. We haven't heard about that since. Then now they try to start up the Venezuelan takeover of Suriname, saying that they own 80% of the land, which happened to be all the southern part where all the oil rigs are at. And so Venezuela wants to take that over. Then we never heard about that. Now they're talking about Ecuador getting involved with their neighbors or whatever and doing this, and that. I saw an argument the other day on the Patrick, what does he call
Bet
himself?
David.
The Bet David show, where they had a debate, and one of the debates was his buddy, Patrick Bet David, his friend. I forgot what his name is. Obviously Israeli. He was debating a Palestinian guy or a Muslim guy. And one of the things he said was, how come a Christian or a Jewish person can't just go to any country? Well, that's obviously not the case, because the Jews have been kicked out over 120 different countries, and now they can't even get along with their neighbors. So
Yeah, it's
obviously that shows you
109.
yeah, 100 and how many?
109 different countries they've been exiled from.
Okay, so they've been kicked out. They even can't get along with their current neighbors. So it's like, dude, what the hell is going on here? So those facts were not presented to him because, of course, he doesn't want to hear it, and they're going back and forth on that issue. But again, they're trying to crush the American dollar. What I honestly think they're going to end up doing is that our politicians are essentially stealing our money. What they're doing is they're taxing the middle class, the lower class, and what they're doing with that money is they're transferring that money into real estate. They're also transferring that money to large corporations and giving them tax breaks while they invest in the real estate. That's why you see all these newer developing neighborhoods getting built, and you see BlackRock, you see Herman Memorial Hospital buying acres of land over here off of 521 in Rosenberg. You see Home Depot and McDonald's and everybody getting involved in real estate while they subsequently get tax breaks. So my argument is that this country is all about the big corporations in the top 1%. And what they're doing is they're taking all their money. They're going to try to crumble the American dollar and put it in digital currency. Why do I think they want to do that? Because I think people are not working at these type of jobs anymore. I think it's their way of saying, hey, look, if we rise the cost of everything and we crush the American dollar, you have no choice but to come back to work now. You have to come back to work. You're going to have to work at McDonald's. You're going to have to work at these places now. And you're going to have to not only work there, but you're going to have to work 2 jobs now just to have the same buying power that you used to have. So we're going to punish you now. And meanwhile, the politicians and stuff, they put laws into place to where they don't have to follow them, where they don't have to hold themselves accountable, quoting the famous Prodigal Hill there. Them and their family and their friends are all corrupt because they're all sitting at the top. And so that's why we push for term limits. So that way these bastards don't run in political office for 50 years. So Nancy Pelosi is worth 400 million, but yet her salary only says 1.65K a year. Well, how does the math add up to 400 million? That she would have to be alive for like 500 years for her to make that kind of money, assuming that would be the case. So obviously you can tell it's corrupt. Our tax dollars are going to NATO. Europe gets free healthcare. We don't get free healthcare. And meanwhile, we're still paying thousands. I had a buddy of mine, shout out to Prodigal Hill. He was in the military. He's a big fan of me and Prodigal Hill, by the way. That guy, Travis, when I interview him someday, he served 12 and a half years in the Coast Guard under the Barack Obama regime and got out in 2012. Now, he told me that he's paying $6,000, and that's even with the VA, with the veterans healthcare for veterans. And he told me he had to put $6,000 in before they could even cover any of his healthcare.
Jesus.
And that's a military veteran.
But it's just like you were sitting there talking about. All that tax dollar that we get, all that tax dole that we're putting into NATO, that we're putting into these G7 summits and shit, all this money that we're giving to Europe isn't going for anything but to pay for that European healthcare. We don't even have enough money to pay for ours. That's where we're going broke, because we're having to pay for their healthcare.
Oh, and guess what? They can't even account for all the money that's being sent over there. They just did a consensus the other day on Ukraine, and they said that there was a sum of like $12 billion missing.
Yeah, because that's where it goes to. Everybody, we know where it's going to. You wouldn't have health care. If Europe had to subsidize their own health care, then Europe's economy would be the one collapsing, not ours. So I'll go ahead and kick it over to Blake and see if he has something that he wants to add to it real quick.
Well, the majority of this, I'm going to be completely honest about. I'm completely ignorant on when it comes to the military aspect. So, but as far as it goes to what Steven said about the workforce and people, it's disturbing the lack that how true he is on this. If you go into, for example, Starbucks, if they mess up something on the register and they don't key it in right, they can't do simple math even to give you your change back. It's insane to me.
Oh yeah.
And then you add in, and then the taxes is what I'd like to touch on. The fact that we have not revolted or had a revolution against our own government is surprising, because what you said is spot on. They're killing us. They're taxing us to death, and they're trying to make it impossible to live. Like, I had to get 2 jobs, and Paulson will tell you at one point I had it very nice, and to go from where I was at to having to work 2 jobs and realizing how much I was actually getting taxed to death hurts. So, but aside from that, like I said, I'm ignorant about the military aspect of this. I don't necessarily keep up with the politics or news. So
I think that me and you kind of flipped there, Blake, because you had 1 job and, that was enough. And then I had like 3 jobs at the time whenever we were sitting there talking back in the 2014s, 2015s. Now I have 1 job and you got 2 jobs. So,
luckily, I'm going back to just 1. But dude, I had to do 2 for a minute.
Dude, you remember whenever that summer of Polston was going down and everybody was getting pissed because I wasn't doing video responses, and I kept telling Dark Horse I've got 3 jobs. I only have like maybe 8 hours a week where I'm not doing anything around the house, working on something whenever I'm not at work. So, yeah, I think that a lot of people at the time were thinking that, oh no, I was just making stuff up. I'm like, dude, I can't do the videos like I used to anymore. I had 3 jobs. I just
and
crazy.
The last thing you're going to do is use your 8 hours to respond to a 6-hour live stream anyway.
Yeah, and so everybody just thought I was so fucking conceited for not doing the videos.
Chicken shit heel. They were calling you a chicken shit heel.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, it is what it is. I just do the TNA videos and do the videos I can do because, But
remember
yeah,
we did the TNA. Remember we did the TNA reviews and we were pissing everybody off.
Yeah,
we were doing TNA. We were reviewing every show.
Yeah. But anyways, dude, because I know Steven knows about this. I've done this video on his channel, and I said I really needed to get some content up, particularly on this, because this is what my book is about. So, like this video said, we're kind of quickly heading into what I believe is the end times. Now, Steven, Steven understands this, as I've said. We've already passed, because everybody looks at it and they're looking at it from the perspective of they've just left behind. So everybody's waiting for some charismatic leader to come in and take over, and he's going to rule for 7 years, and this is going to happen. He's going to get wounded. That's not how it works. Now, we're already past the first beast of Revelation, because that happened with the Roman Empire. When the Roman Empire went ahead, because what does it say? What does it say? It says the beast will rise up, the 7 heads and 10 horns. The 7 heads are for the 7 mountains of Rome. All right, we know what this is. The 10 heads are the 10 horns or 10 kings. What it says in Daniel. Daniel says this. This isn't something that I'm just making up. This is what it says in the Bible. The 10 kings were the 10 barbarian tribes that originally made Europe. The Burgundians, the Franks, the Saxons, all these were Germanic tribes, with 3 of them being plucked up, which is the Vandals, the Ostrogoths, and the Aruli. And, ultimately, whenever those 3 got taken over, what came up? the papacy, right? The Pope ended up taking a throne. He was kingmaker. So we're already past that. He's already had his 1200 because in 538 AD is whenever the Pope, ended up doing a fake document, the fake donation of Constantine that ended up getting the Pope his power. 538 to 1798 when Napoleon took him out. We're already past the Antichrist. A lot of people don't understand this. They're still waiting for the Antichrist. You are far past the Antichrist, all right? The Antichrist has been here. He's already had his deadly wound. In 1928, he received his throne again. The four horsemen, right? We've already seen this happen. This has already happened right now. So you had the white horseman, right, which is supposed to be the Antichrist. People say it's Jesus, but it's not Jesus. It's the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is represented by white, and he went to conquer in the name of peace, which is exactly what the Holy Church did. The red horse is what? It's war. Takes away peace from the earth. That's communism, which is perpetual revolution. Black horse was creating famine. It was, taxation. Harm not the wine or the oil and whatnot. That is fascism. That's the current economic state of the world right now. The color of fascism is black, just like the color of communism is red. Then you have the pale horse, which is globalism, which is where we're at right now. So, dude, I'm telling you, man, I know that like you're getting a lot of these occultists sitting here talking about climate change. They're trying to push a World War III. They're all panicked, man. They're all panicked. So I'll go ahead and kick this to Blake. I'll get your thoughts on it because Stephen has heard this. What do you think is going to be the next direction? Where do you think we're going to go after this? How do you think it's going to play out? And then I'll kind of let you know how I think it's the direction that I see it's going.
I truly believe this with all my heart. I believe that we are very close to Christ coming back. I don't know how to explain this. I don't think that we're close to him coming back. I believe that he's already here. It's just not fully. See, this is hard for me to put into words. I believe Christ is back, but it is not fully known, and he's not fully made his presence known. I genuinely don't believe we have long left, dude. And I'm very happy about that. And this is coming from, like I was talking to Poston about earlier, he can attest to this. I used to be an atheist. I went from being a Christian to an atheist to I believe in Christ wholeheartedly. And that's the direction I see, man. I see the whole entire system collapsing. And I think that Christ comes, fully makes himself known, and that's game over. That's the way I hope it goes anyway.
Yeah.
What about you, Stephen?
Okay, yeah, I'm glad you asked that. Thank you, Prodigal, for asking me. If you look at the way that people are now, and I'm going to have to quote famous Prodigal Hill on this because I couldn't agree anymore. We've said this in previous podcasts on my channel. Blake, if you ever want to join our podcast when I do it on my show, you're more than welcome to, by the way. You're more than welcome to be invited. So, but anyways, if you look at the way that people are now, we haven't progressed as human beings. We've actually regressed. And if you look at the way people are now, like we're actually dumber now than we were probably, let's say, 20 years ago. Your college degrees are worthless. Your education system's pretty much now a joke. We pretty much say that everybody's inclusive in everything. We have to include everyone on everything, and that your resume ultimately means nothing. Work history obviously means nothing, and that we all should just get paid the same. And we're all the same in general. This is why you see like our workforce is terrible. Our movie industry is terrible. The way people conduct themselves is based on how they feel versus what is reality and stuff like that. And people also don't know how to conduct themselves without fighting and stuff like that. There's no compromise in the middle. People are now more deviant. They're now more narcissistic more than ever. People are more entitled now than ever. They just wake up thinking they should get $200 an hour, but they only want to give you $2 worth of service. And oh, by the way, I need Friday and Saturdays off. These are the type of people you're getting now. So, and if you look at the way that people are carrying themselves nowadays, it would suggest that you would, to be honest with you, we're probably almost towards the end of times. And like Blake said, it's probably a blessing. At first I was scared. It's on Prodigal Hill, this scares me. Carl said it shouldn't really scare you or whatever. And I thought about it after a while. I said, you know what? Maybe he's right. Maybe this is what we need. Maybe this is for our own good, because humans are wicked. Humans are cutthroat. And just like Prodigal said, it's within a man's heart or a woman's heart, or human's heart, to be wicked in some way. So you need Jesus to kind of come in and kind of fulfill that, and kind of redeem us of our sins. And honestly, to be honest, I think that humans are at a point now to where it's almost to where we can't fix ourselves. We're killing our planet. We pollute the water. The way we treat each other. We got rations and famine and food. No one wants to work. No one's productive. No one wants to be a productive member of society. 95% of your content makers produce nothing but worthless content and fake prank videos, and nothing that actually contributes to how society should be. We don't invent anything anymore. And if it is, it's definitely not in this country. You can forget about marriage. We've pretty much killed marriage. The marriage thing is pretty much dead in Western civilization. People don't value friendships anymore. People treat each other as disposable, and just the wickedness in an all-time high. It seems like to me that it makes only sense for us to be entering that sixth seal, and for us to be entering what you would say in the Revelations, like the end of times and all that. And I'm gonna go ahead and kick that off the Prodigal Hill on that one, because I know I can ramble for hours.
Can I interject real quick? Sorry, Paulson, but I want to say, when I said I went from being a Christian to an atheist, and then now I'm a believer in Christ again. What I forgot to say here, and Paulson can attest to this, is I went into this new age spiritual shit for a minute, and I fell victim to it and into a trap. And this is embarrassing to say, and I'm ashamed to say this and admit this, but it's the truth. And there was a point in my life very recently, in the last few years, where I truly believed that I was God. And I don't mean this in like a sense of like I was the God in the Old Testament, but like I believed that like we were all our own God, or whatever you want to say. And then like I really realized how much, when I started believing that, how much my life went to shit basically, and I couldn't do it on my own. That's when I asked Christ to come into my heart, and I'm not saying my life got easier, but things cleared out, and I can see like a clear path and know what's right and wrong now. And it feels like I don't have all this weight to carry by myself. So I just want to interject with that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
actually, I want to interject him after he's done.
I'm done now.
Okay. Well, I have a confession to make. I my whole life was a follower of Christ. I was Christian. For a while there, I became atheist. I even made a video talking about, here's atheism, here's my story. I even joined atheist cults. I even made friends with the Amazing Atheist before he was big, before who he was, when he was like people in the live streams. And he welcomed me into the group. And we used to do videos and stuff. And he'd say, hey, that prodigal guy, don't listen to anything he has to say or whatever. I've already owned him. And I own him. And I was like, okay. So, me and him would talk, and we'd get like this little group of people or whatever, right? And then from there, I became a devil worshiper, or I started studying Satan a little bit more, and I started looking into satanic cults and rituals and stuff. I didn't wear the hoodie and go and worship the devil, but I was leaning towards that. I was already driving down towards that dark path. It started with atheism, and from there, then I became agnostic, which I do believe in a higher power, because the idea that something was created out of nothing, that atheists say is completely stupid and dumb. And this whole like, oh well, we were all just one giant planet and it blew up, but there had to be a designer or an architect. Because they would tell me, stop saying God and creator, because that's out the book and it's not real. I said, okay, well then how about this? An architect or a designer? An architect or a designer had to have put that in place. It didn't just appear there. But they can't really argue that point, just like they can't argue how they can't even get to the first cell, Prodigal said. And so now I'm agnostic, actually leaning towards Christianity again. I actually want to find my faith in Christ, especially now that the times we're living in, I wanted to make the announcement on here that I want to follow Christ again, and I want to follow the Christian religion, which I believe the Christianity religion is not the only religion that is just the true separation of church and state. But Christianity is, in my opinion, is the real persecuted religion in this country. I believe, again, this is just my theory, that Catholicism and Judaism and Muslims kind of have this hatred towards Christianity. I'm not saying Muslims necessarily, but more so of Catholics and more so of the Jews. I don't know why, but I think Christianity is sort of a dying religion, or at least I feel like it's sort of a back burner trend now. And I feel like it's more Catholicism that's kind of spreading in the United States slowly with numbers, because it increases in numbers, especially a lot of the immigrants that are coming here are Catholics. So that's why I'm saying your presidents and everything fall under that line. So, to me personally, I found that this country was better under Christian value than it would be if it was under any other religion. And to me personally, I want to devote myself back to Christ again, and I want to have Christ wash me of my sins, because for a while when I was an atheist, like probably Blake can confirm, he was probably bitter and angry and had a little bit of hatred towards people. And even at one point, I thought I was God, because the idea that, God can be in anybody, we can all serve as God, right? And so I thought, well, if Donald Trump or these guys can be praised, why can't I? So like for a second, my ego even told me I was God. So that's why I related to Blake when he was telling those stories. But yeah, thanks for sharing, Blake, and I'll pass the article.
Okay, so first off, it's kind of good that you brought up Catholicism again, because I left something out. Vicarius Filii Dei. That was the original title of the Pope. And if you go ahead and break that down in Roman numerals, that's where you get that 666. But with y'all being atheist, Blake was an atheist, Stephen was an atheist, and even myself was an atheist. And this is really what's, and I won't say that I was an atheist, but I will probably say at least I was an agnostic, more or less. I was circled by, because I was in the Navy, prior service Navy, had to deal with robotics. That's what I went to school for. So, and whenever I do the ding dragging guild thing, that was with the kind of like the guy that, so that's why I kind of, was easy for me to get into that mindset whenever I was doing my trolling videos. So I mean, I think that like whenever I go on Twitter now, like the atheist community still thinks that they're cool and popular and trendy and whatnot. But the deal is that, like I said, society is designed to push people into atheism. You know what I'm saying? So it's not your fault. It's not your fault, Blake. It's not your fault, Stephen. They teach evolution, which is mathematically impossible. Evolution is not a science. It's not. There's no way that would ever be able to happen by random chance. The possibilities of getting one cell in an environment to where it could even let me see what's going on here. Oh, okay.
I didn't want to interrupt you. I gotta I'm just gonna put my mic on mute, and I'll be back in like 2 minutes.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Hey, I may drop out here in a second, Stephen. Hang on real quick.
You're gonna end the stream?
No, I'm not gonna end the stream. Okay. Are you still there? Okay, yeah. So anyways, yeah, it's kind of designed to push you into that direction. The secular side, all the shit that the secular side that America's built on is built off of like Plato. You know what I'm saying? And these Greek philosophers, these Epicuruses who ask stupid ass questions. And still today, them atheists ask the same dumbass questions. But the chances of one cell coming about to a planet to even sustain life is 1 to 10 with 40,000 zeros behind it. So it's a mathematical impossibility. The shit didn't even happen. But you look at today's society, and like you said, there's a lot of bitterness, there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression coming out of these institutions. We're not putting out productive citizens in society like we used to whenever we had a more faith-based curriculum. You know what I'm saying? And now, while I'm saying faith-based, I mean, really, at the end of the day, all you would probably really have to do is take out evolution altogether and then allow people to be the kind of citizens that they want to be, instead of trying to think that you're going to program them into some sort of slave labor force. But, I keep going on to Twitter, right? First off, and I know that we've talked about this because you've sent videos to me. I've sent videos to you about this. And like I said, that second wound is about to heal. That second wound is about to fully heal. And, despite all the atheists which say stupid stuff on Twitter, which this is on Twitter, the atheists that say the stupid shit, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me because atheists say stupid stuff. They have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. They fling shit on the wall and pray for it to stick. Now that there are atheists like, Blake and atheists like Stephen Rose coming out, knowing their little tricks, knowing their little structures, knowing how to hit those egos and whatnot, knowing how to go ahead and debate your arguments. Now, I'm starting to see this a lot. And I did the video the other day. I know Stephen Rose saw it. I don't know if Blake saw it or not for sure. But about Melanie Mack coming out. Now, Melanie Mack is... Yeah, nobody does because these internet influencers are not really influencers. They're not going like, if you had a video go viral, Blake, back in the days, it wasn't you botting that video. And it wasn't your little buddies, a circle jerk, or at least I know for me, for sure, I wasn't botting my own videos up. Whenever I had a video go viral, it went viral for a reason. Somebody used it on one of their stories, or they liked my rant, WrestleCage, or whatever it was. Somebody took my video and they used it and it went viral, right? And so, like, dude, I still run into people who've watched me and Dark Horse and they're big fans of me and Dark Horse, man. And it kind of like, it's like, wow, I didn't realize that I had that many people watching my videos that I meet in real life. And they're like, hey, do you still do videos? I used to watch your videos all the time. And I'm like, you did? And they're like, yeah, man, I was a big fan. Do you still talk to Dark Horse? I'm like, man, I ain't talked to Josh in a while. We talk every once in a while. We kind of hit or miss each other because he works and I work. But yeah, it's usually me and Dark Horse because me and Dark Horse has done so much content together. That's always the one that I always get hit with. But these influencers like this girl, right? She goes out, right? She gets on Twitter and she says, okay, I'm going to say the words because for some reason, because I'm like, do you got anything else? Because this troll is getting kind of old. But she goes out and she says faggot, right? That's all she does. But she just doesn't do it once. Okay, you say the word, okay, you're testing the boundaries. We were edgy too. We were testing boundaries. What could we say? Like I said, I've had Twitter accounts taken down, 6 Twitter accounts. I've had 1 Facebook taken down. I've had 2 YouTubes taken down. And it damn sure I didn't say anything as extreme as faggot on any of those platforms. You know what I'm saying? But your videos are up here. So it's telling you one thing, right? What that's telling me is that you're trying to go ahead, and this is the thing that I see because she claims to be a Christian. She claims to be a Christian. But there's only one thing, and you can't get people to understand this, is it's a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Whenever you're by yourself and you're, you can't get to sleep, God's trying to talk to you. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to talk to you. If you just shut up, let him communicate, he'll talk to you. But I'm starting to see a lot of these Christians come out. And they're starting to go ahead and, these are, like I said, there yet again, you have Christians towards the end of the time. There's not going to be any atheists during the apocalypse. There's not going to be any atheists. It says this in the Bible. You're either going to be a follower of the Antichrist or you're going to be a follower of Jesus. You know what I'm saying? And, you're going to sit there and go by what the word says. This has already happened. This is what happened during the Holy Roman Empire when they were persecuting the people for Reformation that were trying to protect the word of Christ. They would, do all kinds of, wicked ass shit to them. And I'm already starting to see that build up right now. We have the Agenda 2025, which if you don't know it, it's going to be putting in a lot of that Christian legislation. It's going to be putting in a lot of that Catholic practice. And in fact, originally it was called Laudato Si. It was a bill of the Pope. The Pope drawled it up. He expanded on that with Laudato Deum whenever the zombie apocalypse was supposed to happen, October the 3rd, I think it was, when they were doing that government test. That's what they were pushing, was that Laudato Si out there, which just tells me that we're going into this time of being not, because like I said, you had the second beast. The first beast rose out of the ocean. What's the ocean? Or rose out of the sea. The first beast rose out of the sea. And what's the sea? Says it in the Bible. It's the multitude of nations, people, and tongues, as it says in Revelations 17, whenever it talks about the horror. So whenever you're looking at the second beast that rises out of the earth, right, which would have to, of course, be this country. Two horns, right? Church and state. There's only two horns in this country, church and state. And it's a lamb-like beast, which we are. So the United States of America is that second beast. So I can kind of see where this is kind of going to become a theocracy. I think that's the direction that we're going right now. I can see that trend start to become popular on Twitter right now. And you get a lot of these people like your Alex Jones, like your Kenneth Copeland, like your Joel Osteen, like Dark Horse was telling me the other day. Your people like Melanie Max are going along with it, where they're going to try and use it, because like I said, they're apostates. Do they really believe in God? I hate to judge people, but it's going to be those people that use the word to try and persecute people, because that's what the Pope did. Whenever he used that word, he was using that word to persecute people, his political enemies, people who were a threat to him, to protect his interests. That's what the Pope was doing that during the medieval times, during the Dark Ages, whenever there was only the Bible could only be interpreted in Latin, and that was the only language that the Bible was in. It wasn't until the Reformation and people started printing the Bible out in different languages that people had true access to the word. So I'll go ahead and kick it back to Blake, and then Blake, you can go ahead and kick it to Stephen. What do you see going on probably past 2024? Because right now, with the way that society, I don't think that right now the state has a clue where they're at right now.
Brother, I'm going to be honest. I don't see us going past 2024. I genuinely don't, and that's just me being brutally honest. I don't think we make it out of 2024 the way it is now. I'm not saying we won't exist here or like there won't be life. I'm just saying I don't think that the way we see or experience reality now is going to be the same. I do not see us making it out of 2024.
No.
And if we do, I see a lot of probably people converting, or people, some of these fake, I don't want to call them fake, but there's quite a few preachers out there, Christian faith, that are very vocal and opinionated, and they spew vile shit, to be honest. And I probably see some of that if we make it out, but I really don't think we make it out of this year, brother. And I'll let you go on with that, Stephen, because I'm
curious to know
don't.
if we're even going to make it to the elections. Everybody's talking about, well, that's very un-American for you and Prodigal Hill to not be voting. I'm like, what makes you even think we'll make it to the elections by then? To vote. So why even vote?
That's and talking about the elections, like it's getting so redundant. The fact that we had to pick between, and for anyone that doesn't know, I'm not Democrat or Republican. I don't give a shit either way. But the fact that we had to pick between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton was ridiculous. The fact we had to pick between Trump and Biden is ridiculous. The fact that anyone believes Biden won that is ridiculous. The fact that we're going to be voting for either Trump or Biden again, or whoever, is ridiculous. Like, my mind's blue at this point. And this is all people. One of the places I worked at recently, all they do is bicker about politics, and it's not even what I consider real politics. It's bullshit, surface level, petty. Oh, what I call either you love Trump or you hate Trump, and that's it. It's not real politics, and unfortunately, that's what most people are wrapped up in. And I just don't think people see the bigger picture. And it's
when most people argue politics, it's not about the policies in place. It's just about who's your favorite guy. It's like if you were to tell me who my favorite basketball player was, and I'm like, well, I like Trump because he played for, you know, the Warriors or something. It's not necessarily like if you were to ask these guys, well, what policies did you like that these guys did? You know, me and Prodigal could break down all the policies that Trump did that we liked and did not like. Me and Prodigal Hill could do it. We could do it same for Joe Biden. Like we've even given Biden credit for some of the things he's done. I've even given myself credit for Joe Biden allowing the state of Texas to pass over 7 fucking bills that were super red. And so I had to give Joe Biden credit for that, for making Texas great again. And
well,
I was like, you know,
hey, you're a real one, bro. That's how
yeah,
real people should
and I
conduct
voted
themselves.
Trump in 2020. I supported his run in 2016. And I had to give credit where credit's due. I'm like, if it wasn't for Joe Biden, we wouldn't be able to ban abortion here. If it wasn't for Joe Biden, we wouldn't have been able to pass SB bill, Senate Bill 17, which was banning cross-dressers from dancing in our schools. Who signed it? Joe Biden. He signed it next to Governor Abbott. He signed Senate Bill 12. He endorsed Governor Abbott's bill to ban the transitioning from kids under 18 from boy to girl or girl to boy, that you had to be 18 to transition. Who signed off on it? Joe Biden. We couldn't get the Republicans would never sign any bills like that. And you got Joe Biden doing that, and I had to give him credit where credit's due. I'm not saying I'd vote for him. I think personally he's a moron. But when he's coherent for the 5 seconds he actually acts more as a conservative than Trump did, and he acts more as a conservative than the Conservative Party. And that's what I'm saying. Like, Joe Biden is doing what a lot of conservatives didn't do when Trump was in office, when the conservatives had vast majority of the Senate, they had half of the House, they had most majority of the Congress from 2016 to 2018, and Trump didn't jump on repealing any Obama's policies. He didn't repeal the health care, eliminating these health care mandates. It was more expensive for health care under Trump than it was Obama. I hate to say it, but it's true. And, you know, other than the gas prices and the taxes being low, Trump signed off on DACA, didn't put border security in it. He also was going to sign the red flag laws, which was a violation of my Fourth Amendment right to privacy, was a violation of my Second Amendment right, because if it violates my Fourth Amendment, it's going to violate my Second Amendment. So,
and then the Operation Warp Speed, don't forget that.
Yeah, Operation Warp Speed, and we can go on and on and on. And like I said, I give credit where credit's due. We even did Obama, and me and Prodigal Hill sat there and said the pros and cons to his presidency. So we don't sit here and say, well, who do you like, Trump or Biden? Well, I like Trump. Oh, okay, well, that's cool. So do I. And everybody shakes hands. Like, no, what are some things? If you were to ask me, who do you like, Trump or Biden? I'm like, neither. And if I'm like, okay, well, what are some good things that you like from both of them? I could tell you. And what are some things that you don't like? But that's not what the questions are being asked on YouTube when these dumbass content makers are walking around saying, well, who would you vote for, Trump or Biden? Oh, I'll vote for Trump. Okay, well, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. And it's just like, that's all it is. That's all politics is, to go to Blake's point. But beyond this rambling, all politics is now is who's your favorite guy. It's not what the guy does anymore. And that's why Trump's going to win the primaries for the Republican Party. Everybody's wasting time on those debates.
He's going to win. He's going to win the election. And I want to make one thing perfectly clear, because, you know, Blake was here in 2013, 2014. You were here in 2013, 2014, Stephen. I was here. Yeah, you had guys like Bruce Smith. You had Dark Horse. You had WJ. Right? These guys were around. A lot of these guys pushed Trump in for the 2016 election. I want to make something perfectly clear: is that Trump was a warning shot to DC. It was a shot across the bow that people were tired of all this useless spending, of all this useless embezzlement, of all the corruption going on in Washington, D.C., that they voted for an outsider. That's why Trump won in 2016. Trump should have won in 2020. Trump probably did win in 2020. And that was the time that the state should have said, look, these people are getting tired of this stuff. We have to go back, repeal a lot of this stuff, cut down a lot of spending, do more tax cuts, go reverse course until we could figure out how we're going to implement a lot of this social communist bullshit again, because people are getting tired of it.
Yeah.
That was a shot across the bow, and they didn't listen right now. So now they're all panicked, right? They don't know. And this is why I say it's getting to be a little bit more dangerous. This is why I do think that you're going to end up seeing that theocracy implemented. If it's probably going to be in 2025, 2026, by 2027, we should be in full theocracy here in this country, which like I said, to me personally, as a Christian, that's a bad thing. You don't want a theocracy. Theocracies have never worked out for the Christian. But with that being said, that's the direction that it's going to end up going, because the state side of the United States has failed us. The State Department has failed us. The people that are in D.C., your congressmen, your senators, who know damn good and well the result of their actions. So it's like I told Steven, you have this new Civil War movie coming out. You have them trying to push World War III, right? They want us to get into war with Russia and China. They want us to go ahead and have overreact. And first off, it's not going to be a civil war, because there's no way, and I am a military guy. I know people that are in special forces right now. I know a lot of these people are getting ready. They're starting to talk, right? We're not organizing yet. I guarantee you nobody's kind of pitched anything around, so I'm not going to sit there and claim something that's, but I guarantee it's getting pretty close. You mentioned about Nigeria and stuff, and that revolution going on over the Niger coup.
Yeah, they're trying to overcome French colonialism, they said.
Yeah. See, I heard about that months ago from my supervisor, who was he was in intelligence. He had the military intelligence and whatnot. And he would give me these kind of updates and stuff, these little briefings and stuff, saying this is what some of the special forces people are talking about that are out, but they still keep up with it. So the military people are keeping up with everything that the state is doing. I know this firsthand. I know this from people that I talk to. So understand that, like I said, for somebody like me, looking at the military today, and how they react and working in today's society. First off, you've dumbed down everybody to the lowest common denominator, to where everything is so compartmentalized that nobody can do anything without having step-by-step instructions. You know what I'm saying? You move one piece, if you remove one piece, it just stops working altogether. That's how the system is put up together right now, that I've noticed. So this is coming from a person that was in the military, that served time. This is not any structure that really threatens me whatsoever. This is why whenever you were sitting there telling me probably a few months ago, or a couple of years ago, how they were going to do martial law, and I told you that there'd be no way they could implement martial law without, first off, just being totally eradicated by all the vets out here. Because as soon as they decided that they were going to go ahead and implement martial law, the vets would probably have heard about it right now. There's shit that I hear about all the time. They would organize immediately, and they would be over immediately. So it's going to be more. And if you ever get a chance, look at this, because I've been looking at this, particularly for my book and whatnot. Look up the French Revolution, because that's exactly where the United States is heading. It's not going to be a civil war, because the state doesn't have enough manpower to be able to sustain a functioning civil war. However, whenever you look at what happened during the French Revolution, what they did to the aristocracy, whenever they got King Louis and they got Marie Antoinette, sent all of these people to the guillotine. That's what happened in the French Revolution. And that's going to happen in the United States if they keep fucking around like this, keep the hyperinflation up. Whenever people can't get their money and stuff, well, they don't have anything to lose. All of a sudden, the fear of the consequences outweigh any kind of remedial consequences that you
Especially
could
if we
put on
all go to
anybody.
the bank tomorrow and it says insufficient funds, and you just got paid, and it's like due to the government, this, and this, we will be unable to pay you until further notice. Sorry for the misunderstanding. And
Right.
then you're going to be like, oh hell no, because you have nothing to lose. I'm like,
And-
fuck it, I ain't got nothing to lose.
And you're exactly right, dude. I believe that is exactly where we're headed. And I'm gonna say this up front. I do not want that to happen. I don't want it to happen. However, if things do not change, I hope it happens. And to add to this, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but let's say I had $200 million in a bank right now, and for whatever reason that bank decided they were going under, or they just didn't want to. What the fuck ever. They wanted to fuck off my money. I'm only guaranteed 250,000 of it. Don't matter how much money's in there.
Yeah.
So people don't understand or realize this. I don't believe fully. And man, I really hate to be that person that calls for like an uprising against the government, but
yeah,
if something does not change soon, it needs to happen.
If the bank gets robbed, we're only insured up to 100,000 or a certain percentage, like you said. Like I was told, Wells Fargo is only 100 grand. So if you got $2 million in the bank and it gets robbed, they're like, "Sorry, we can only insure you up to 100 grand. Like we apologize."
Right. Well, dang. See, you may be right. It may be situational depending upon the bank.
Yeah, but it's 100 grand at Wells Fargo. Like you're only insured up to 100,000. I could just imagine the snakes that come out of you guys if you have 2-3 million in the bank and they're like, "We're sorry."
Well, it's like I was telling, okay, I was talking to Paradise Lee on Twitter, I think, or it might have been on her YouTube channel, and she was doing her thing where she's doing the house hacking, doing her videos where she's talking about what she should have done whenever she was younger and how she should have did this, and so I was telling her, okay, hypothetically, because like a lot of people, and I'm not one of them people that believe in like living for money, but you're never going to get security. First off, let's just go ahead and be real.
Oh, Paradise.
Right? The Christian, I understand that you're not going to have security. Security doesn't exist. All right, trust in the Lord, faith in the Lord. That's going to be forever, but you're never going to be secure. With that being said, right? Let's just say, 5 or 10 years ago, we'll say, right? You say, okay, you know what? I'm going to plan for my retirement. I'm turning 40 and, 2022, 2023, I'll be, 40 or whatever it is. And, so what do I need to go ahead and retire if I want to retire at the age of 40? So you look at it and you say, okay, I need $2 million by 2023 to be able to live comfortably and retire on my lifestyle, right? So you work and you work and you work, and it's 2023, and you save that $2 million. There's only one problem, is that $2 million from 10 years ago is now only worth like $650,000.
Yeah, you need about 25 million right now. You need about 25 million.
They said that in 1950, for you to have $1 million to retire on would be equivalent to 10 million now.
It'll probably be more than that.
Yeah, but they said you would have to have a minimum of 10, and that's just living frugally.
Yeah. And so, yeah, because that dollar doesn't keep its value.
What is the value of it now? Like, what is the value of a dollar, truthfully?
So, the last time that I checked, and I can't say truthfully because it only goes back from whenever we did the Federal Reserve Act. So you can only measure the dollar from like 1913.
Right.
So the value from the original dollar is like 3 cents.
Sure.
Wait,
Damn.
So you're saying your dollar's only worth 3 pennies?
From after we signed that Federal Reserve Act in 1913, It's only worth 3 cents.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, it's about what it's worth. So if you had $1 million,
Zimbabwe, remember when I told you about Zimbabwe? You can borrow 20 trillion from the bank for 75 U.S. quarters.
Yeah.
That's
kind of like that's exactly kind of like what's actually happened. So you if you had $1 million if you saved up $1 million back in 1913,
It'd be worth 13,000 now, right?
30, I think 30,000,
30,000. Okay.
maybe something like
Wow.
that. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, that's what it would be worth. And so, yeah, it's like I said, and the thing that's really kind of, and like I said, for the most part, whenever I look at these platforms like YouTube, like Twitter, like Facebook, this is kind of, these are the platforms that people used to use, or I won't say people. This is the platforms that the State Department used to use to keep track of all of us. They used to know kind of where we were by monitoring these platforms, but since they've saturated with their stock accounts and bot accounts, like Blake has said, now they have no fucking clue where we're at right now. And like I said, right now they're sitting on a fucking powder keg of people that are spending, getting stuff to make sandwiches for the rest of the week, but they're spending like $32, $40 for stuff to make sandwiches with.
Bro, check. Me and Prodigal had this talk the other day, Blake. First Prodigal, tell him what you spent to make a hamburger. Tell him the other day what you told me when you were in the store, what you bought.
Okay, so it was a 4-pack of the hamburger meat. I didn't get any sodas, so in case anybody's wondering, 4-pack of hamburger meat, hamburger buns. I got an onion. I got a tomato. What else did I get? Oh, and I got some fried mushrooms because every once in a while I like having fried mushrooms. And I got that. That's not, back in the days it probably would have cost about maybe $20 at the most, about 17, 18, 19.
17, 18 bucks.
Yeah. It cost $32 for all that. 32.
Look, let me go ahead and tell you what mine costs. I like to make spaghetti every Thursday. I got a family of 5, right? It's just me, my sister, my mom's, my dad, and my other brother, right? Because the other one doesn't live here. The 5 of us, okay? I buy 2 Pregos in the jar, the tubs, the family size, $4.99. That's 10. So that's 5 times 2. That's $10 for just those 2 tubs, right? The 4 packs of noodles, relatively, let's just say $5. 4 something, $5, right? Because like $1 something a pop. So that's already $15. You buy 1 pack of 3-pound of ground chuck. That's $17. So that's already I'm now at $32. I'm right where Prodigal's at. Now, if I want mushrooms, if I want cheese, if I want onions on the side, the dice them, I like to saute my onions and bell peppers. Now that cost is probably $40. So just to have a spaghetti dinner for 5, one day, if you're lucky, maybe 3 servings a person, $40.
Jeez.
40. And sometimes I like to have a side salad, so I'll buy the family pack of Caesar, the Caesar kit dressing. I mean, the Caesar kit with it comes with the lettuce and the cheese and the croutons. If I buy 2 bags of that, now I'm at $50. So just to have spaghetti and salad is 50 fucking bucks. It's like, what the fuck, man? And that's just for one dinner.
Dude, I was talking to Hard Bastard, or I wasn't talking to Hard Bastard. I was listening to Hard Bastard on his show, and he said that he stopped by Wendy's. And he said he was going from, he lives in Pennsylvania. He was going to Florida. He stopped by Wendy's, and he said he got 2 value meals from Wendy's, right? He said that he had to spend over $30 for those.
Oh, I believe it. But hey, I want to say one thing. Shout out to Wendy's for that 5 for $5 or 4 for $5 or whatever.
Oh,
that
5
shit's
for
good.
$5 is badass. You get the fries and you can pick between the burgers. Man, at McDonald's, man, same thing. McDonald's, you could get like 2 McDoubles. A McDouble's $3.59, which used to be 99 cents. The French fries, a large French fries is $4. So $7 for just those 2 items, not to include tax, and that's not including the drink, which is now $1.79, which used to be $1 for any size. Now it's $1.79. So now you're looking at $10 for just 1 McDouble, which is a small ass burger, 1 large fry, which they only even fill it up the whole way, and 1 large drink. It's like $10. I used to get those 3 items for $3 alone. I could get those 3 items.
It wasn't even that long ago.
Yeah.
Well, what's crazy is you can go to Chili's and get like a good burger and a fry for like $12. So
Here's the,
why the hell is anybody going to go to McDonald's?
here's the scariest thing. If you include Uber, I've never used Uber or DoorDash, but I've had buddies of mine use it. They'll order like
Yeah.
2 McDoubles, damn near about $20 by the time you had the fees. I'm like, I would rather walk and just go buy it myself than do that.
Yeah.
I ain't got money like that, dude. And even if I did, I don't think I'm not saying that if I had a ridiculous amount of money, I'm not saying sometimes I wouldn't take advantage of DoorDash or something, but
Of course.
still, I would still get my ass out and go get it and save money because
Bro,
I've never used it either. But
I don't use it neither.
Bro, you know what I spent today? I went to Buffalo Wild Wings to go watch the playoff game, right? I love Buffalo Wild Wings.
Congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thanks, man. I spent just for a 20-piece boneless, which used to be like $12.99, $13.99 for that 20 wings, not bad. I spent $23.99 on the 20-piece. Then I had a drink, which is like almost $3. It's $26. Then I had, when I asked for like onions and tomatoes on the side, that brought up the damn about $30. My bill was $31 when it used to just cost me like $13 for all that.
Dang.
And I used to just throw a 20 down and say keep the change. Now I got to throw 2 20s down and probably 2 extra ones on it to say keep. I got to spend $42 on that meal plus tips to cover what it would have did if I had $20. Used to be.
Well, see, part of the problem is here's part of the problem. You have all this inflation going on. Ultimately, I've done this before. I've done the videos for sure on your channel, Stephen, where I talk about, when the government takes on a certain institution, like they want to take on healthcare, right?
Right.
Well, that comes with government jobs, and government jobs come with government pensions. So the more liability the government takes on, the more pensions that they have to take out, but the more people they have to replace those pensions with. So constantly, that's why the budgets tend to grow. And then on top of that, you have all this spending that they have. You have more people in the UK out there. Probably one of the reasons why they won a World War III is because you have all these people in the UK living off of this socialized health care that we have to pay for.
Facts.
And so, it's constantly spending and spending and spending. Then you have these people out here, right? That's why your buddy that was in the that was in the army
Travis,
that has to pay
Coast Guard.
Yeah.
He was an electronics technician.
Yeah, okay. So he has to spend $6,000 for his fucking premium and shit. His premiums keep going up because we have to sit there and support these people because the leftists pretend like, which if you had people out there doing charity, right, like they were supposed to, none of this would be an issue. The reason why your health care is so expensive is because of the government. It's because of these socialists putting in these social programs. That's why the country's going bankrupt. That's why you can't afford to live. That's why you're living hand to mouth. With that being said, because you go look at those theocracies, and I can guarantee you this is one of the reasons why they want to go into a theocracy. But you go look at the Kuwaiti theocracy and look at their currency. They have the strongest currency right now in the world. Their currency is a hell of a lot stronger than ours.
Dubai.
Oh yeah,
Qatar,
Dubai. Yeah, all those
Emirates or whatever.
Yeah. Guess what?
Saudi Arabia.
And they have free health care and no income tax. Why? Because they take care of their people in those countries, which is not what they're doing here.
Exactly.
So,
They're stealing our money and they're putting it on these social things. Meanwhile, they create hedge funds to get that money back, and then they just get the rest of it and invest in real estate.
Let's drive this point home. Let's seriously take a second and drive this point home. You get taxed to death. Where are these taxes going? That's my main question. Everyone needs to question where their taxes are going and actually stand up against it. 2, I'm not saying we shouldn't help out other people or other countries. I'm all for helping others, but we should be taking care of ourselves first. We cannot pour from a cup that is fucking empty. And right now, our cup is not close to being able to help anyone. And you're right, they are stealing. our money is being stolen from us by our government.
And here's the
Go
sad
ahead.
thing. Here's the sad thing. Now, just to interject you for 1 second. The sad thing is we don't even have an overseer to tell you where all this money's going. That's why Ukraine, there's $30 billion missing, or 12, or whatever that number is. Whatever the number of billion is missing. And that's not just the first time that's happened. It's happened with other hedge funds that we've done where money has come up missing, where we funded other countries in the past, and miraculously about 8 billion disappears. It goes in the pockets of those regimes, and then they pocket the rest of that money, and then the rest comes to the United States, and our politicians find ways to pocket that money.
And then on top of that, you'll have the government create a job, right? And it'll be some liberal arts major that really doesn't have any, that kind of can't learn a real trade. So you go into liberal arts, and then they'll give them a job. They'll create a job because of nepotism or whatever, and create a $80,000 a year job for him just to monitor the internet, to listen to what the fuck we're talking about right now, and to go ahead and find a way to go ahead and ban us from the internet because we're a threat, because we're talking about his little paycheck and his pension and stuff like that. You know, they create these ridiculous jobs, which, you know, your dollar's only worth, you know, one of the issues right now is that our dollar doesn't produce any quality. Back in the days, back in the 80s and the 90s, everybody had to strive. A government dollar is worth less than a private dollar. A dollar in your pocket and in my pocket is worth more than the dollar going to the government, because society is going to demand quality. And so, you know, now all of a sudden you get these people that are coming out of academia that's like, well, you know, it's not fair. We should all be making $15 an hour because I can't afford to provide for myself on $15. First off, if you're working at McDonald's and you're a 30 to 40-year-old man, you don't need to have a family. You know what I'm saying? You need to be living at home until you get an actual, you know, you need to either work your way up into management, or you need to go ahead and find another job that's going to go ahead and produce more. You need to go ahead and worry about your own value instead of worrying about what your employer can or cannot pay you. All right? He's going to pay you your value. And so, you know, it's this entitlement class, and you know, saying that shit is not helping anybody. All you're going to end up doing is making, you know, pushing your employers more and more into the broke house and going out of business, and you're not even going to have that, you know, $7.50, $8, $9, whatever the fuck they're paying you. You're not even going to have that anymore. You know what I'm saying?
What, if you guys don't mind me asking, what's the minimum wage where you guys are at right now?
Texas is $7.25.
Okay.
But no job rarely pays that. I mean, the lowest I've seen was $9 that I've ever heard, that I've heard of paying. No company pays, but most jobs out here pay $11 and up.
Yeah, and like the McDonald's pays 13, so
Walmart pays 14 starting, just to start you off, $14.
Yeah. That see, I'm in Virginia, right on the Tennessee border. Well, technically I just moved back to Tennessee, but I'm only going to be here for a couple months, 2-3 months. But so I can drive 3 minutes down the road, and let's say I had to get a minimum wage job or whatever. They're going to pay me like $12, $13 an hour, no matter what. Tennessee, now, like you said, most places don't do it, but I think it's $7.25, and most places will give you $9 though. So it's crazy that you can, a job that would pay you $9 in the state of Tennessee, you can drive 2 minutes down the road and they'll pay you $3, $4 more for the same job.
It's kind of like the same way here, and a lot of the shit is based on, you know, where you live at. Because if I go south, it pays more. I work in Waco right now, but if I go south towards Temple, then I would probably make more because it's going into the Austin district.
Yeah,
where I'm on the Waco district right now, so I make more going down to Temple. But you know, it's the same thing where you're living at. But with that being said, whenever you look at these other places, right, that end up paying more, that set the, like Seattle, perfect example. They've raised their minimum wage up. A lot of people here that I work with come from Seattle, and they tell me that. So they raised their minimum wage up. But what's the quality of living in Seattle? Is it that good? Because we get a lot of motherfuckers from Seattle coming down here that say, yeah, we just couldn't stand the quality of living down there.
California's
So,
like $17, $18, and oh my God.
and how many of those motherfuckers are moving here to Texas?
Yeah, it's terrible. Like I'm not
Yeah.
saying that you shouldn't make a wage, but like I think that my debate is this, or my outlook is this. It's not necessarily the starting wage, I think, is the issue, because I think if you were to ask everybody, for example, what do you think should the starting minimum wage be? The number's never going to remain the same, right? Everybody's going to have like their own idea of what they think minimum wage. Like I may say 15, you may say 18, Prodigal may say 22. Let's just say hypothetically, like no number's going to be the same, right? Because everyone's going to have a different lifestyle and what they think they should make that best resembles their lifestyle. That's understandable. My debate is not necessarily the minimum wage number. My issue is incentives for hard work, and this is where diversity and inclusion comes in. When you sit there and say that resumes mean nothing and we're just going to hire 10 black guys, 10 white guys, 10 Hispanic guys, 10 Asian guys, and you're fixated on the numbers of racial quotas, 9 times out of 10, you hire the dumbest people of set groups. You never hire the most qualified because you're aiming towards a racial quota rather than the background and the resumes in which they come from. And so now you just said, okay, well, we're just going to hire everybody from set group. We pick the dumbest people. We pay them $14 an hour. That's a reasonable start. Ha ha he. And then nobody gets a raise. So if let's say Blake is like has qualifications that suggest you should make 20 an hour. Prodigal's qualification says you should make 25. My qualifications say 20. Let's just hypothetically, our resume say that we should. And well, to undermine our wages, they can say, okay, well, we're hiring anybody. There's not really a lot of qualifications to meet. So therefore, you're going to be making $14 an hour because that's what Henry's making, even though you're more qualified than Henry. But because of the fact that we have to include everybody in the conversation, that also devalues people with work experience. So now they just want to just keep you dumbed down. That's how they negotiate your prices down. That's why.
Well, not only that, Stephen, but what will probably end up happening is that Henry will get the promotions and the raises because Henry probably, like you said, he doesn't have a lot of options. So he's going to stay loyal to that. Whereas you probably have a lot more options being worth 20, 25, where you're looking already for somewhere else to work. So he's more likely going to, regardless if he's qualified or good at his job or not, he's going to get the promotions. Dude.
And most of the time, they're not good at their promotions. Most of the time, they're not.
Yeah. And dude, I'm telling you, man, listening to a lot of these people, and I don't know if it's from some certain product that you can't mention on here. You know what I'm saying? Because YouTube will flag your shit down, or if it's just, the diversity thing. But these people, like talking and listening to these people talk, it's like they go into screensaver mode when they're trying to discuss anything or trying to describe anything. It's just like, it's like the Bernie Mac thing, man. It's just crazy. Go ahead, Blake.
Speaking of that, that's one of the reasons I had to get 2 jobs, because I refused to get what you said we can't talk about on I was a supervisor of the Boys and Girls Club, dude. I was over a whole Boys and Girls Club in the greater Kingsport area, and they pretty much, I went along with the mask, but I threw a fit about it. I'm not gonna lie, I did, but I was like, okay, I'm not gonna let this prevent me from whatever. Now, during this time, I was also a substitute teacher on the side, and I wouldn't really consider that 2 jobs because I enjoyed it, and I only did it when I wanted to. But then they both came at me and said I had to get that done, and I kindly, to the school, the Scott County schools, I kindly resigned. I did, on a kind note. The Boys and Girls Club, however, it did not go down nice, and I feel like they fucked me around and fucked with me quite a bit. And I was even nice enough to work out a 2-week notice with them. But I'm
Yeah.
still, I can't tell. I'm sure you guys may tell. I'm still a little annoyed over that whole situation and that whole ordeal and the way it was handled. And I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, I got laid off for the same exact thing, which you know, I think we were talking about that.
They're
Yeah,
making
I got
threatening
let go.
letters to him.
Huh?
Prodigal will sit there and show me the emails of how they were threatening him literally with his fucking life or his job if he didn't
Yeah.
take the.
And I'm not, yeah, the thing that we can't talk about on here because YouTube, and like I said, you know, it doesn't really, to me personally, and this is where, like I said, you know, Blake, you know, this is exactly part of the issues that these people, these elitists, these people that are in charge right now that make the rules, particularly for these platforms, these people in the state departments that are probably watching the fucking video, is that, you know, I don't know exactly how all this stuff is turning out. I can only tell you exactly from my position and what I see. And from what I'm seeing right now, living in reality, not in some fucking cubicle in DC, not in some fucking cubicle over there in Silicon Valley, being a fucking administrator with 3 different colored dyed hairs and stuff like that. The This is the result. Whenever push comes to shove, nobody's going to ask you to see a fucking peer-reviewed study. When these fucking lynch mobs start together, these radicalized motherfuckers that you've been radicalizing since BLM, since fucking all of the shit, all these leftist extremist motherfuckers are going to be the same motherfuckers that are going to come at you. It's not going to be somebody like me saying, hey, wait a minute, we should allow due process. Let's go ahead and figure out if there's some way other than something less extreme manners. It didn't happen whenever they were executing all the fucking people over there in the French Revolution during that insurrection that they had, where they, you know, executed all the royal guards. These people had had enough by this point in time. Whenever people are starving, whenever people are hungry, whenever they're sick, whatever it is. So, like, I think that, you know, whenever I get on the internet and I'm looking at the internet, and it's only sock accounts and bot accounts, right? I know that these people are pretty much working for government agencies. I understand that the government has no fucking clue where everybody is. But like I said, whenever that powder keg finally goes off, right, and you get what you are pushing for, then these people are not going to stop and allow you to go ahead and missing context shit that you like to put out and fucking the studies, and we need to go ahead and look at they're not good. It's over at that point in time. So that's why I'm saying that this country and these people that are in charge right now, and like I said, it's just going off of stuff because I could tell you stories about the shit that's went on ever since the thing that we can't talk about has happened. Because like I said, you know, I just so happened to fall into another supervisor position. And so I had to work around. So I kind of, you know, figured out, okay, whenever these people come up and they come to the job, they have to go through me for the most part. You know what I'm saying? And the shit's just crazy as fuck. So I'll go and kick it back to Steven. Then Steven, you can go and kick it back to Blake.
All right. Yeah. We talked about you know, about the workforce and all that. So we just got done talking about that, right?
Yeah.
No, I absolutely Prodigal's right on this. Blake is right on this too. Sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought because there was something that I wanted to clarify. But yeah, so in terms of the minimum wage, again, I think work incentives should be the issue that people should be arguing, is that work incentives for hard work, which is another thing that makes me mad when you look at the workforce today and how they conduct themselves when it comes to how the raises are given. We'll just give everybody $1 raise, except you know, we're going to give everybody $1 raise, which it should be the best worker should get the biggest raise, which if it was $2 or $2.50, well, let's just give everybody $1 raise. That way it looks like we're looking out for everybody. But if I busted my ass, Blake busts his ass, Prodigal busts his ass, shouldn't we reap the benefits of that rule of the fruits of the labor in which what we put on that tree? No,
Absolutely.
we'll just give everybody $1. So then you're really only benefiting the laziest people. That's how the incentives are being given. And so it means nothing to work hard for most of these corporate jobs. That's why people are just dipping and saying, I'd rather just open up my own business, because what's the point of this? You know what I'm saying? That there's the way you conduct incentives is just, let's just give everybody dollar raise. And you know, which used to be back in the day, if I worked really hard, I would probably get a $2 raise, but all my colleagues may only get a dollar raise, and they would say, hey, keep it on hush. Now it's like, no, we'll just give everybody a 50-cent raise and we'll call it even. It's like, no, because if I busted my ass, I should get the $2 raise. I should get the 250 raise, not the 50-cent raise to include everyone. No, I should get the best raise. Should go to the best workers. But companies diverted from that now. They want to lowball you. They either want to hire illegal immigrants, or they want to outsource your jobs, or they want to say, well, if you don't like it, that's too bad. Find another effing job. So then you do like Blake does, puts his resignation in, finds another job, and then they're stuck with all the lazy people. They say it's always your best workers that stay. No, your best workers are the ones quitting, and then you're stuck with Kermit the Frog and and Miss Piggy, and then you're stuck with the Lord of the Flies employees. Now you may have some that may stay a little bit, but most of the employees that quit are the very best ones. They rarely fire lazy people. Rarely fire. I've seen this at Walmart. They'll tell the best workers, if you don't like it, you go find another job. But if the laziest ones, they find ways to get promotions. They find ways to weasel their way out of the system. They find ways. I've literally seen guys walking around like in other departments. I've literally seen them walk around the store for 8 hours and get paid for it.
Well,
I've seen it. I've seen it at Walmart. Yeah, I've seen employees. I've seen some employees just walk around the store and do nothing, and they're getting paid. Yeah.
Let me add to what you're saying. I 100% agree with you, by the way.
Yeah.
People that show up, do their job, do it well and efficiently should be making more money. But to add on top of all this, by the way, this is what really disturbs me about reality sometimes, and what really bothered me for a while is it seems like, because I wasn't always this person I am now, where I try to be very truthful and honest, and I try to be as Christ-like as I can be, and that's just
Fair enough.
how I am. But I was not always that way. So what bothers me is I can see I benefited a lot more, and I got further ahead in life by being what I would consider to be, and I'm not talking negatively about myself, I'm just being honest, I was a manipulative little weasel at times. And it bothers me seeing that about not only myself, but looking out here and in my direct experience, people that screw people over, manipulate, lie, and basically con others get ahead 10 times more than people that work.
Yeah, and they'll form cliques. They'll try to gang up on other people, and it becomes like this Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, and I think that's why, us being former atheists are much more dangerous than the evangelical Christians to the current atheists and the secular motherfuckers out here working in these departments, because we already understand your little tricks and your games. I was a weaselly little motherfucker too whenever I was in the military, and Lord knows I would probably fuck anything that moved whenever I was overseas.
It takes one to know one. It takes one to know one.
You know what I'm saying? And so, I was a complete, and in fact, whenever I was in the Army, my fucking squad leader just called me Ho. That was his nickname for me until I got another nickname, but I gave myself the other nickname. But he used to just call me Ho because I would have these women always coming to see me, and he would normally have to sneak them out at some point in time. And he goes, how do you get all these fucking women? I said, I didn't even know they liked me. They just, come with me. We hook up. They come to my place, and then that's it. That's just because I was and it wasn't, like I said, I was just kind of like dumb luck type of thing that I would always.
Kind of like the bad boy Chad of the Army.
Right. It wasn't like I was going out trying to, that's just basically what we did. I swear women can smell whenever you're fucking in the military or something. You produce a pheromone or something, and it just draws them in. So,
or they can smell when you're an authoritative figure. If you're some sort of like management position, they love those guys or security guards. you know how many girls I get hitting on me for just being a security guard? Like they love that authority, that upper management authority look. They love
Right.
that shit.
And so, like, all the time. And I was a hoe. And yeah, so I can agree with you guys.
When I was a janitor at Walmart, no bitches looked my way. But when I became a manager, I had bitches looking my way left and right.
Hey, I'm going to tell you guys something else that's messed up that I've noticed. Is when I was married, dog, I got hit on constantly by women. I mean, it was ridiculous. And then I got divorced, and it was like, I would still get hit on, but not as frequently. And then as soon as I would get a girlfriend, it would be the same thing. And it's almost just like, I don't know if that's like some temptation kind of deal, or if girls can pick up on that.
Tell me this too. It's always like, and then you ask yourself, where the fuck were y'all when I was single?
Yeah.
Like, when I was single for like 3 years as a free agent, I had no calls, but as soon as I even look like I'm dating someone, I'm getting offers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, we all had our shortcomings and stuff like that. And especially, like, if you were, and this is why, like, I look at a lot of these new guys that come on YouTube and do the kind of stuff that we do, and then they take up the little Christian crosses, and then they're going out there fire and brimstone trying to talk down to everybody, and it's like you don't get that same kind of, whenever you're in the spirit, you kind of know whenever you have, because it's like I said, it's not just claiming you're a Christian. Anybody can claim that they're a Christian and not be a Christian, but it's whenever, it's having that relationship with God. It's entirely different than somebody who's claiming to be a Christian that knows the Bible, that's just going to go out there and start pointing the finger at everybody. I guarantee you that they're just, I'm a sinner. I got wickedness in my heart.
Oh, me too.
I'm nowhere near fucking perfect.
Me too.
I'm not perfect.
Oh, I'm not interrupting you, but there's this dude named Wesley Curry too coming, and he's making some good comments. One just went by that's actually something I would like to talk about. He was talking about the book of Ezekiel, and goddamn, it went away. Now it's just saying Jesus showed it to you all in visions and dreams, which I agree with. But
okay, hang on, there it is.
Yeah, right there. What's your take on that, Paulson? And what's your take on that, Steven?
Particle, break it down first.
That nuclear bomb in the green car is the will in the middle of the will, and the fire unfolding itself, written in the book of Ezekiel. Well, like I said, for the most part, I already know that we're kind of heading into the end times. And like I said, it's not going to be the New World Order. If you think Nicola Carpathia is going to come out and you watched a lot of Left Behind and you think that this is what's going to happen, a lot of the shit's already passed. We're heading into the sixth seal. So if you really kind of want to understand where we're going right now, what does it say in the sixth seal is going to end up happening? All these islands are going to be displaced. The oceans are going to shake and stuff like that. What do we know about the oceans is that the oceans usually in Bible interpretations, as it's been interpreted by the prophets for themselves, the oceans represent the multitude of nations, tongues, and peoples. And what does it say? That islands will be shaken out of its place. This is why I think that we're going to end up finding it could be a very well, if we have a revolution in this country, it could very well go global. And I've already told Stephen Rose exactly how this would happen. Is that, like I said, me for one, being prior service, having contact with these military people and stuff, they're getting kind of tired. First off, everybody understands that the global elite, the people that, are currently, that were given dominion over the world, I consider them to be more like that shepherd that was explained to in Zechariah, right? And I find this to be the shepherd in Zechariah that had, God put the sword down to him. He put it on his right eye and on his right hand, right? And his eye was completely darkened and his hand was withered away. When you look at the occultist, what do they always do? They always do the one eye symbolism. They always do the hidden hand stuff, And to a degree, I think that that's still a representation of the people who were in charge. You know, whenever you go back and look at Genesis, right? Lucifer has always been the king of this world. You go back, you read it from Cain, and that's why Jesus had to come back. A lot of people don't understand that.
Can I ask you something? Sorry,
Go ahead.
I feel like I keep cutting you off. I'm sorry. Because I know this is one thing that me and you kind of disagree about. I'm just going to be very honest. I do not think that Lucifer is Satan or the devil. I think that this is very unpopular, and I know we're going to disagree on this a lot. But oh man, I'm just going to say this. I truly believe that in the Old Testament, God was kind of a dick, and Lucifer was the good guy in that scenario. And I also believe that, like, and this is very unpopular, but it's the way I believe, and it's just how I see it. I could be wrong. I'm not claiming to be right. I think that Lucifer and Jesus were kind of on the same mission to speak of, and I don't consider Lucifer Satan or the devil. And I know you completely disagree with me. That is fine. I get it. I could get why that sounds insane to people, but it's just through personal experience and through looking into other mythologies, religions, etc. And I guess thinking for myself that I came to this conclusion.
Okay. I have one question to ask you. What does it say about Lucifer in the Bible? Who is Lucifer, by the way? Satan is just a title, and so is the devil. Devil means death. Correct. Satan means adversary.
Never mind. We've had this talk, Paulson. We've had it.
Yeah. So
go over it again for me. Go over it again for me.
Okay, so here's the deal, right?
Okay.
I'm going to tell you that Lucifer is pretty much Adam. That's who Lucifer is. Okay. Now, the reason why Lucifer was kicked out of the heaven, right, is because of iniquity. Here's the deal, and nobody can understand this, right? This is why we have wickedness. This is why we have sin. This is why we have to go through this. Right now, we're building towards something here. God put us on this earth that way we would have free will. The angels, they don't have free will. You know what I'm saying? They love God unconditionally. That's how they were programmed. God programmed the angels without free will. All they can do is love and serve. However, iniquity was found in Satan. He was condemned to earth, right? He's pretty much the principalities of the earth and the air. How can anybody have free will and love you unconditionally, you know, with free will, if they don't understand what the opposite is of you? That's the whole point of this planet. And Lucifer is the embodiment and the opposite of God. God is love.
Agree. Dude, I agree with that. Look, that's what I say. That's okay. Let me explain my point of this, I guess, a little bit more. I think that, it's hard to explain this because it may contradict itself to a degree. But it depends upon what you want to look at and talk about, because suppose that, because your interpretation is Lucifer was basically Adam, and then a lot of people say that Lucifer was like this beloved angel that rebelled against God and talked a third of heaven out with him.
But see that's true too. But the reason why the earth was made and the reason why he was put on earth was so, because see, like after this is over with, right? Once we're complete, once judgment has come, all the wickedness, all the evil, the sin, the hatred, the anxiety, the sickness, the death, whenever all that stuff is thrown into the lake of fire, not only will we understand what wickedness, death, and sin is, so will the angels through us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was a way, this planet was a way for us to be tested, for us to bring out our best characteristics, and for us to discover the worst characteristics. This is why it's necessary to have evil and sin in the world, because if you don't have evil and sin, then, you know, ultimately you can't understand that. Now we understand what the opposite of God is. This is why, like you said, that Jesus was going to come back and rule on this earth. he's going to come back, but he's going to come back, and it's going to be in New Jerusalem. He can't touch earth while there's still sin here. God's not going to come back and to earth while there's still sin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let me ask you this. So I think that we're kind of on the same page to a degree about okay, it's almost like Lucifer is the opposite side of the coin of Jesus, but it's the same coin, meaning that like you have to to fully understand and know God and know unconditional love and know these things, you have to basically experience the opposite of that. So what's technically the opposite of Jesus? Would it not be Lucifer?
Well, see, like I said, I see the reason why Jesus had to come back, right? Because there's only two creations by God. The first one was Adam. Adam was the first direct creation. Adam and Eve were the first direct, and Eve was pulled out of Adam. So Adam was the first created being by God, right? He was the first created man directly by God. The second was Jesus. And basically, Jesus had to come back to say, to fulfill the Bible prophecy that God was going to go ahead and give us another chance. He was going to give us, himself embodied into a man. That way people could accept him. You know what I'm saying? Because if God doesn't come back, you're going to constantly break down, because you go back and you look in the book, right? You have, God had to end the world by flood, because man was becoming so wicked. Then you had the Sodom and Gomorrah not too long after that, where he had to destroy those communities because they become ultimately too wicked. Then you have Babylon come up, where they're collecting, and then this is how he confused the languages. Men always reverts back to that. So he had to go ahead, have Jesus come back as a sacrifice so man can accept him. That's exactly why Jesus come back. And so whenever you look at the like these people that play with it too much and then they try to manipulate it, they're trying to fit it to their lifestyles so they can get into heaven. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. You're going to have to make a choice. And like I said, for a lot of people, it's just they'll take scriptures and then they'll try and bend it towards themselves to use it. And like I said, those scriptures, they have power regardless of whatever, because they've been using those scriptures to persecute people for ages. You know what I'm saying? And there has to be some kind of power to it because it's been around for so long. And so that's why Jesus had to come back. So Jesus was the second direct creation by God. And those people who, like I said, whenever you stop and look at it, God is love. This is what it says in the Bible.
Yes, I agree. 1,000%.
He has 7 spirits. He has different spirits, but essentially that's what God is. God is love. And that's what it says in the Bible. And this is why God's not going to come to a world corrupted by greed, hate, envy, all the toxic shit that the government tries to put out on you, where they're trying to get you to hate the Muslims if you're a Jew, and trying to get you to hate the Jews if you're a Muslim, and trying to get you to hate the Russians if you're an American, or trying to hate the Americans if you're a Russian. This is all they can do, is create chaos, hate, and animosity, and get us to fight each other instead of sitting down and talking back, because there's a lot of solutions to these problems. I've done videos on Stephen Rose's channel. I've done videos on Lee's channel where I could sit there and solve your border crisis, come up with plans, ideas, the American Springs. I've come up with different tort reform ideas and stuff like that to solve your health care and lower the cost. Talk before you decided to do this stimulus and hyperinflation on how you could go ahead and stave off a lot of that debt. They don't want solutions. They want us to keep fighting. They want you to stay poor. They want you to hate life. They want you to hate everything, because guess what? At the end of the day, they are Satan, which is the adversary, which is your enemy. They're trying to go ahead and keep you into confusion. This is why whenever you, like an atheist, right? When they argue, 9 times out of 10, they're just asking stupid fucking questions. That's all they're doing. And they're the dumbest fucking questions in the world. And they'll sit there and, like they'll sit there and mention something out of a talk. Like, the Bible mentions a talking donkey. Yeah, but you believe that fucking nothing magically exploded and created everything.
We hey, we weren't live when I went over this, but this is an argument that I don't want to call it an argument, but this is what I love bringing to non-believers or atheists' attention. The main argument is, well, if there's a God and there's one true God, who created that God? They're basically saying that something can't come from nothing. However, they believe that the Big Bang and the universe is something that comes from nothing and it just randomly happens. What's in the first paragraph in the Bible? That there was a void, and through the void, God created. These science and religion believe eerily similar things. They are just, I don't want to call atheists ignorant, because there's a lot of religious people that are, and by ignorant I mean just don't want to be open-minded or look deeper into it because they're so set in their beliefs. But it's so insane to me that a lot of people believe similar things so much, but you mention the word God or a creator and it brings in so much animosity, or people want to just push it away so much. And then that something from nothing argument is, or who created God? It's like, I've never got a straight answer out of an atheist in that. They want to dance around it or tiptoe around it, or finally they'll say, well, I don't really have anything to say to you because you look at things different than most people. But it's like, I'm just asking you a legitimate question. How can you not see the parallels in that? And it's just interesting to me that how hard atheists will. It's like they hate God for no reason. I used to. I mean, like we talked about, I was resentful, angry, and bitter, and I don't even know why. It was just like there was something in me that revolted against God, and it was almost like it was programmed into me, and I had to snap out of it, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Yeah, and whenever you look at it, they believe like some floating dust bunny collapsed and created Earth, and the shit that you have to believe to be an evolutionist is absolutely insane, and it's definitely not any kind of real science, particularly if you took any kind of fucking physics or any kind of molecular and understand shit at a molecular level, that you have a systematic universe. If the way that the universe is set up, if the fucking Earth is moved by a millimeter, life doesn't exist on this planet, because you're either too far or too close away from the sun. Then you would have to get the right formula. Like I said, you have to get the DNA to get the protein, but you can't have the protein without the DNA to make it. So there's no chicken before the egg. So you have to get to that first cell. You would have to get to that first cell. And then you would have to have that systematic universe set up and a place for that cell to exist. And then once you get that cell, you'd have to get the right kind of cell for it to self-replicate, for it to produce anything anyways. And then that cell is going to have something to sustain itself. It's going to have the environment for it to even, mutate into any kind of real fucking life. And then once you even get to that point, you still got to overcome symbiotic relationships. You've got to overcome biogenesis. You got to overcome Mendel's laws of genetics. It's impossible. It didn't happen. Evolution didn't happen. And we know this for a fact. If you did any kind of real studies and any kind of real sciences, you can look at the rate of erosions and understand that the continents would be, they would have been eroded flat in 14 million years. All right. And that's if you're going by the rate of erosion that we're currently seeing right now. You could take the growth of certain coral reefs, desertification. There's a lot of shit that proves that Earth is not fucking billions and billions of years old. But they don't teach the shit. They don't teach that stuff. They'll teach some random harebrained ass ideas that evolution is real and this is how it works. Like I said, you can look at the study energy, kinetic energy and potential energy and tell that energy doesn't go anywhere. It's still there. It still exists. It just goes from one form to the other. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
you question the shit in science class and then they'll look at you like you're insane, And so, like, it's not a science. The shit that they teach, that evolution believe in, it's science fiction. All right.
Yeah.
It's not real. It's a religion, and it's something out there. And to be honest with you, they say that we're evolving, and like Stephen told you, I'm not as strong as my grandpa was. I seen this guy do fucking insane feats whenever he was a roofer. He was roofing until he was in his 60s. He would be carrying fucking just like mortar mix up, like double barrel up a ladder up 3 stories to go ahead and lay a fucking chimney. Absolutely insane. Which, even me, I'm in decent shape right now, in better shape than a lot of people that I work with. But I don't think I could do half the shit that man did at 60. I'm not close to 60 yet.
I've worked with immigrants that are in their 50s and 60s, fat and overweight, and they're just tossing 50-pound cement bags, 100-pound cement bags like it's nothing.
Yeah. And so, like, they claim that we're evolving, but this is the thing that's really going to blow your mind. When you look at atheism is a religion, and it was the first religion. And just like that New Age religion that you talk about, it was the first religion. It's Luciferianism. The first lie that Lucifer told man is that man could be like God. And that's exactly what the evolutionists believe. That's exactly what the atheists believe, is that they're evolving into perfection. What is perfection? Anything other than being a God.
Facts.
Hey, brother. Hey, I like the way you said that, man. I like the way you said that. I lost my train of thought. I was getting ready to say something about something you said, and it escaped me. Fuck.
Yeah, I rambled on too much, probably.
No, you didn't. That was really well put together. It's okay. Go ahead on to something. If I think about it, I'll bring it back up.
I'll kick it over to Steve and see what he has to say.
Like Prodigal said, if you look at the way people are now, they're not even a quarter of the man of what their grandfathers and fathers and mothers, which evidence would show that, or suggest that, we're actually on a decline in terms of evolving. In fact, these institutions are actually, like, your college degree back in the day actually meant something. Now you're actually dumber than what you were before that degree. So you weren't as dumb. Now you're even dumber, which is why me and Prodigal are against paying for the student loan forgiveness program, which is a reason why, because it's like you're dumber than the degree says you are. A lot of you can't even count to 10, but you're a PhD degree doctor and major. It's either you're that stupid or the institution. Then we have to question the institutions now. So again, we're devolving. We're actually becoming domesticated. We're becoming fat, ugly, and lazy and entitled Karens. And that's the reality of a lot of Americans, or a lot of people just in general, of what our society is going towards. So yeah, just to kind of go into what Prodigal said. Yeah, you guys want to add to it? Or
Yeah, I do, but I remembered what I was going to say now. And I could be incorrect about this, but Polston will probably tell you I have spent a decent amount of time not only looking into Christianity but multiple other religions. Just because like I said, I used to be an atheist, and I dabbled in stuff. But correct me if I'm wrong, Polston, but is it not true that Jesus is the only person, prophet, or whatever, God, or however you want to say it, that is mentioned in multiple mainstream religions? He's mentioned in Buddhism, he's mentioned in Islam, and he's mentioned in Christianity. Is there anyone else that people look up to like that? And even if you want to go back to, because if you ask me what is it, Krishna in Hinduism, that's essentially Christ. So that's 4 right there.
Yeah, and then you can go through the Chronicles of Josephus with the Romans. They mention him too, so he's mentioned in Roman Chronicles and whatnot. The Jewish Talmud, he's mentioned in that. Of course, they have an unfavorable because it was like. So here's the deal with like because whenever you look at Israel and whenever you look at the Jewish community that's in Israel right now, they actually have the Star of Remphan. Because if you go back and, like I said, a lot of people, and it confused me too. I didn't really start to understand it. I didn't understand like scriptures and some of this stuff. It came to me later. And you have to, like I said, God will find you whenever you're truly devoted to trying to find God and understand God and have that intimate relationship with God, knowing God, He'll find you. And so it took me a while to like learn a lot of this stuff. But the current community, because like the Jews just like the Muslims have a more favorable, as far as, view of Jesus than the Jewish do. The Jewish believe that fucking Jesus is in hell burning in a vat. Now that's not true, but that's what they believe in. You know what I'm saying? And so, whenever the people that are in Israel right now, right? Whenever the scriptures, whenever Jesus come back, they totally rejected Jesus. And meanwhile, they kept the apostles kept trying to save these people because they were from those people. Those were their people. They look like them. This is why the gospel was given to Paul to take to the seven churches, and why they went ahead and decided that they were going to go ahead and give the word to the Gentiles, and that the Jews at this point in time. The truth is that those people that are there right now in Israel are not necessarily, because whenever you're talking about a seed, right, you have to be from the seed of Abraham. Well, how many parents do you have? You have two parents, right?
Yes.
How many grandparents do you have?
4.
You go back to the great-grandparents. How many do you have? 8?
16.
Well, great-great-grandparents would be 16. But you see how you're increasing on the branch.
Yeah.
You go back 1,948 years before Christ and do that and see how many relatives you have. It would be impossible for you not to be related to Abraham. For you not to be related, any of us to be related and to be a part of that same seed. It'd be impossible. You would have at least one relative, and that's all you really need. So whenever these people are like, well, we need to get behind the Israelis and the Jews because they're God's chosen people. How are they God's chosen people? You know what I'm saying? Because I guarantee you, every damn one of us in the world could claim that same lineage that the Jews claim. I guarantee you, your ancestors go back that far. You would have at least one ancestor kin to that lineage, So when you're looking at them, they're really Ammonites. That's what they practice. And it says this in the Bible and the scriptures. Everybody seems to miss it because they take that one verse, that one Bible line that God told Abraham that he would protect him. And anybody who protects his lineage, he would bless. And people who cursed his lineage, he would curse. That was for Abraham, so Jesus could come about. That's where they take that, they inflate that to go ahead and say, well, we've got to go take out all the Muslims. The Muslims haven't done anything to us. Like I said, they have a more favorable interpretation of Christ than the Jewish people do. And what do we see from a lot of these people that are Jewish? They see it, they're more adversarial towards us. You know what I'm saying? They don't like us at all.
They've been kicked out of how many countries?
109.
109, and they still can't even get along with their neighbors now.
And so they just hate everybody. It's greed, more for them. And I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just sitting there saying, I'm not telling you to treat Jewish people any kind of way or exile them, but they're Ammonites. That's what they are.
They worship Nimrod.
It's Moloch.
Moloch, yeah.
Yeah, they worship Moloch. It's the Star of Remphan that they have on their flag. And, to sit there and say that we need to go ahead and like I said, to a degree, you have all these people over here, and that's why I say that Twitter is like the craziest fucking place on earth. That's where it's like, and I don't take any of it seriously, and I take it half-heartedly whenever I'm on there, because these people are so fucking crazy, dude. They believe one side believes we need to genocide all the fucking Jews or Israelis or whatever the hell. They believe all the Israelis, and then the other side believes all the Palestinians need to be exiled. And it's like, I don't believe either side needs to be fucking exiled, genocide. I don't believe either side needs to be genocide. I just need to find out what the fuck the problem is and why you can't sit there and get along with each other.
Facts.
If we can go ahead and fix the shit, then we don't have to worry about genociding everybody.
Yeah, brother, that's it in a nutshell, and that's what I have been preaching on my channel for 4.5 years now. It is we are being divided, and the fact that people want to. That's why, like, I've openly admitted I've asked Christ into my heart. I'm a follower of Christ, but I don't put the label of Christian on myself. If you want to put that on me, I have no. I mean, that's fine. I don't mind it, but. And the only reason I say this is because all this is nothing but a division, skin color division, which it's obvious we do have different skin pigmentations, but the fact we focus on that, or focus on what we believe, or what political party we believe, and we go after each other over the silliest nonsense instead of sitting down and saying, hey, let's come to a middle ground and get along on this. Is insane to me.
Here's a statistic I learned when I got in the security office based on the testing I had to do to become a security officer, which I'm now applying for Fort Bend County as a jailer. Most of your crime worldwide, it's on a worldwide database, by the way, on FBI.gov. 90% of your crime is within your own group or your own race. So so you have a 90% probability of a crime being committed against you of somebody in set group. Because while you're familiarized with your own set group, and guess what the highest crime in the world is? Domestic violence, which nobody talks about. But yet, race riots or race crime would be qualified. It would be categorized under an outlier, which means the 10% of the 90%, of the 100%, the 10% of the 90% is part of the outlier. That means random crimes and shit like that. Like if I walked in and started shooting at random people and killed them, that would be the outlier. That would be a random crime. So what that means is, even in race, like when they talk about the police brutality crap, even if, let's say, to give them the argument, okay, that is true, there's a problem with police officers killing certain groups of one set group. That's not the question of whether it's racist or not. The question is, the statistics show that that's less percentage than the actual other crimes that are taking place, which means we take 1% of the crimes and try to make them bigger than the actual crimes that are a lot larger, like domestic violence. That's why, to go back to what you said, when they try to race divide us on the whole police brutality or white man did this, I'm like, even if, let's say, for the sake of argument, I'll give you that in certain cases, but it's 1%. And you're arguing the 1% for the 90% of the other cases that are happening. And that's the problem that I have when they do this division crap. And they take the smallest things and try to make them bigger than what's actually taking place.
And then, and this is the saddest part, is they do that, and they portray that and push that. And then that's why I like to say that, like, the internet and media in general, to a degree, unless you have a mind of your own somewhat, is a trap for people to get caught up in. And I don't know what we can say or can't say on here. I don't really give a shit on my channel. I talk about what I want to, but
yeah, facts.
I won't say that one thing that I know we can't, but when it comes to people of the same gender liking each other, that's another stupid division. Nobody should. That's none. I mean, people need to worry about themselves. When it comes to people of one gender wanting to become another gender, as long as there is certain, like what you all talked about earlier, 18, and don't push it down people's throats.
Facts.
I don't give a shit what you do. And the fact that
they try to divide us over that.
I mean, all of it's a division, and obviously that some of this needs to be addressed and talked about, like that. Personally, I think it should be older than 18. I think it should be 25, but
Look,
that's
I'll
And
just
say
I'll,
me.
I'll tell you this too, because this is the thing that blows my mind, right? Is that whenever I was younger, the white the white supremacist, right? The white nationalists, the people that were pretty much the most racist and bigoted, were the Democrats. They were the party of the KKK. They were the most racist party. And the thing that is the most insane is that these are the ones that are now running these special interest groups like your NAACP that are pushing your LGBTQ, the ones that
mhm,
BLM that are creating the most divisions in this country. That
facts.
you trust these in your little specific, special minority groups that you're in right now. You trust these motherfuckers to sit there and advocate for you and to push this shit on the. This is why you get like so many people over there with so much animosity and no, I'm not really clipping any kind of parties. Not really any kind of party. I've always been an anti-federalist. I believe that we should have less, and I honestly believe that we're coming to the point right now where I can't justify having a government, at all.
Facts.
I can't justify the government at all. I can't justify it. What are they here for? What are they doing?
I'm for the convention of the states and less government. I'm for less power to DC, which I guess that would make me anti-federalist by definition.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just for getting rid of all of them. And like I said, Trump was the warning shot. Trump was the shot that says, you people that are in positions of privilege, which is exactly what they are, which if society ever decided to stop investing in your fucking identity politics and start working together to hold you accountable, we could take that power back very easily.
And see, when Trump was voted in 2016, I don't believe that Trump was voted because everybody was confident he would get the job done. I just think they did it just in spite of what was going on in this country, and they just didn't want another Democrat in office after what Barack Obama did. You know what I'm saying?
And expected that fucking Democrat was going to be Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Which would have been worse.
That was a big reason, I think. Plus, I also think people trolled. That was my thing with it, was like, I started out like not even caring, and then I was like, we cannot let Hillary Clinton in here. Like, if they would have picked any other Democrat, they probably would have beat Trump, and they could have even picked a woman that wasn't Hillary Clinton, and they could have beat Trump. But once Hillary Clinton was involved, and then I started trolling about Trump, and that's why I went with it. And the fact that he won is, I just think that speaks volumes to, like, I don't know, dude. Like, sometimes I think we're in a fucking parody, satire matrix or something. I know that's
like
not the case,
show,
but yeah, dude, it's insane.
David W. just asked, do you think we should have an anarcho-capitalist society via no government? Okay, here's what I think, and then I'll go ahead and kick it off to Stephen, then Stephen can kick it to Blake. Here's what I think I would want. I believe in what you would consider now, they're making a lot of, I've noticed that they're talking about the Civil War and trying to hit the Confederacy a lot and stuff like that. But I would probably be considered kind of a Confederate, which was actually considered an anti-federalist, which is kind of like where I'm at. The Confederacy was counter-federalism, which means that they believed in having more state power, and they would have a centralized government, but that centralized government was only meant to handle disputes between the states regarding borders, commerce, trade between the states. They were never meant, and you notice that whenever you had Lincoln come in and unify the country through Washington, how we immediately got into 2 world wars and we kept having all these global conflicts all around the world. Why? Because whenever he centralized government, first off, Lincoln inspired fascism and communism. That's what he did. Whenever he unified the United States government and all those states, and he unified them, Now we go into perpetual wars to try and justify defense budgets and get an income tax. What I believe we need to have is more states' rights, have more states saying over, their own citizens and whatnot. We need to get off having DC have so much authority because it's only a two-party system, and both parties tend to fucking suck. And the only thing that they can agree on is stealing money from us. So what we do is bring that authority to a local level because it's easier to hold the governor of Texas accountable whenever he does something than it is to go to fucking DC and hold them motherfuckers accountable.
Yeah, because when you say the White House, you're going to be like, which person? Congress, Senate, House. It's going to break so many branches. You got like hundreds of motherfuckers there.
Yeah.
You know? So of course they're not going to hold themselves accountable because the fingers aren't pointing at anybody. It's just pointing at 100 people, so they don't feel as bad. But when you are holding a governor accountable, all fingers are pointing at him.
Yeah, so that's what I believe. I believe in an anti-federalist system. We still have a centralized government to handle certain disputes.
As an arbitrator.
Yeah, as an arbitrator between the states. But then that government can't send you to war, and if they have to go to war or anything like that, then they need so many states to go ahead and agree upon this.
Like 2/3 or something. That would be cool.
Yeah. So
like 2/3 of the states, yeah.
And then we'll go ahead and kick it to Steven and see what he has to say.
No, absolutely. I think that this two-party system's a joke now. I think people are starting to see past it. And to be honest with you, we need term limits. But honestly, one thing Prodigal didn't bring up that I think we can all agree on is the only way to really make DC lose power is to lower taxes. And I think by lowering taxes, there's not going to be a lot of money funneling in through DC where they can start trying to create hedge funds into these bullshit projects and social programs. It's where the money ends up going back in their pocket anyway. We can now control where the money's going when we lessen the taxes, abolish property tax. That way you don't have to worry about losing your home. We can abolish income tax and we can impose a flat tax of maybe 7-8%, right? So we can do that. So then everybody pays 8% tax. So then you're going to pay this person, the government officials and stuff, they still get a paycheck. But it takes a lot of power from DC by lowering those taxes. And, because the way that our dollar is right now with the print, not just the printing of the money, your dollar is taxed from my research alone. Your dollar is taxed between 6 and 8 times. Your employer's taxed, you receive the money, then it's taxed 2 or 3 times over. You buy things constantly, it's taxed. If you put the money in the bank, they report it to the IRS. If you gift it to somebody, it's taxed again. So your money's just being taxed so many times over and over. So it's like you having all this money like this and they're just taxing you down. So it feels like you're just literally working for free. Like, so like let's say you go into work 8 hours, right? And you do an 8-hour shift. Your first 2 hours are basically working on taxes. So you're basically just working 2 hours for free. Like just for the fuck of it, like just me going to work for free. So if you by abolishing the income tax alone, the average American brings home between $600 and $800 a month. You can then invest that back into the private sector. So then you can go to your Buffalo Wild Wings. You can go to and support all these local businesses who are suffering, right? And so then that brings money back into the economy. Therefore, it helps with the creation of jobs, right? It helps stimulate the economy. You don't have to tax people to death because the taxes have gone down. The average American is taxed at 60%. The average American is taxed at 60% if you include every tax. By abolishing all those taxes, the average American is only taxed at 8%, which would bring that down by, if you took 60% as 100 and it lowered it down to 8, you're lowering people's taxes by 92%. And the economy would boom. Prodigal Hill said this best. They don't want a resolution. These politicians know the answer to these questions because we've already given you the answers and we're not even in political power to give you the goddamn answer. These motherfuckers know it. They don't want to do it. They want to create problems. They want to create division. They want to tax you for it. They want the dollar to go through their fucking pockets, which means nothing. They want to print up more money, start proxy wars, and it's just a big fat mess. That's why there's no term limits. That's why these bastards are never held accountable. That's why all the bills and resolutions, House bill, Senate bill, HR bill, whatever you want to call it, whenever they're passed, it's not for them to follow. this is an issue. It's a corrupt government, and it needs to be held accountable. And I got a video coming out, Prodigal, and I'm pass this mic to you guys. I'm into here. I got a video of ways that we can sort of boycott by just the distractions. Like one of my boycotts that I wanted to do a video on is boycotting sporting events. Nobody attend any sporting events until all this shit gets fixed. That's a start, right? If you boycott every sporting event, we're not attending a single sporting event, not wrestling, not basketball, football, nothing. You're going to have empty stadiums all around until this shit gets fixed. Because sports is used as a distraction. And when they're not distracted, that means people are talking and people are listening to the issues that really need to be helped. And then if you know what we can do, stop funding social media content makers. Completely stop following them, unfollow them, don't even watch their videos, don't even click the like or dislike button, don't even comment, and let them fucking fall. Those government shields, let them fall. And from there, people will start getting on track of the real issues. But until we get rid of these distractions and get on them the issues of how to fix this fucking economy, how to bring buying power back to the dollar, this will continue.
Mm-hmm. No, you're man. There's not really too much to add to that. I will say this: I do believe we need a structured system in place. However, I think that it needs to be held way more accountable, and it needs to be more open with
term
what
limits.
it's doing.
How about term limits on every government position from Congress to Senate to House?
And we need balances, more checks.
And there needs to be an age limit, dude, on being able to run for president. You shouldn't be able to run for president at I think 60 should be a cutoff point, honestly. Yeah. But I really don't have, you guys, especially Steven, good job, bro. Like, you guys nailed it. I don't have anything to add other than I probably am one of the most anarchist motherfuckers in here, but I still believe that we need a structured system. Because without one, it would be hell, basically. It just needs to be.
We need convention of the states. We need smaller government. I think the anti-federalist system is the best way to go.
Yeah, and the reason why, because I listened to High Impact Flicks, who's a big anarchist, and I've had conversations with him on Twitter before, and he went to his site, been on his video and stuff like that. The only problem, a lot of people that are anarchists don't understand that, is that, like I said, I was in the military, 2 branches, Navy, Army, and so I have, friends that are still in these that could definitely take care of themselves. What it usually ends up happening in an anarchist system is that you get a group of people that'll get together, and then all of a sudden, might becomes right. We're going to go ahead and force our wills on people. So we're going to have a structured system there to protect you from stuff like that. I'm not sitting there saying I would be above or below doing anything like that. I'm just saying that is a very real world possibility. If a group of people said, hey, we need to get together because we all think alike, and we need to go ahead and force our way of what we think you should be on society. Well, you're going to want some checks and balances on that too, and it's going to be too late with a complete anarchist society by just eliminating all checks and balances. So the thing is that I believe in, like I said, an anti-federalist system where you can control it a little bit more. You're going to have more checks, more balances there, but at the same time, you don't need centralized authority to Washington, because there's no incentives for these people to hold themselves accountable. This is why, nobody's going to take any of the kangaroo court shit that they have with the January 6th PSYOP thing seriously anymore. Nobody's investing in your media narrative. Like I said, I doubt any one of y'all, or either one of y'all, but maybe Steven has heard about it, but do any of y'all put any real confidence about them firing into Yemen or anything? Because I don't put any confidence on the mainstream media. I don't put any confidence in the State Department. I can't trust you motherfuckers. Therefore, I take everything that you tell me with a grain of salt and understand I have a high degree of skepticism whenever you're telling me this shit. So who's going to fight the wars for me? Who's going to fight your wars for you? If you're going to start shit over there with Yemen, I guarantee you none of my military buddies are going to get in. Are y'all going to join? Is anybody in a rush to join? No, me neither. Because I don't see any point in it. Nobody has any confidence in you anymore. So,
And I know this is slightly off subject and off topic here, but the way that we treat our veterans here, and the way that we treat, so this is really what bothers me and blows my mind to a degree. It don't bother me as much as it did, but it's like everything, like I said earlier, is backwards. And the fact that you have teachers, law enforcement, EMS, firefighters, people that truly deserve to be paid the big dollars, barely get by, and then we are idolizing and worshiping people going out here. And I'm not hating on actors or sports players or MMA fighters or boxers. God bless them. They deserve that if they're bringing in revenue. But the fact that they get idolized and they get paid that much while we shit on our veterans, and our teachers don't get hardly anything. The people that we rely upon the most don't hardly get anything. Is despicable.
I'll tell
And
you something worse than that. You
what's
want,
that?
you want me to interject if you aren't finished?
Yeah, I'm finished, brother.
Okay. If I can interject, you got social media influencers doing TikTok dances, making millions of dollars, but you got people who pour the concrete in the roads and build the buildings for them to do that. And they make next to penny to the dollar. So you got people building this country, making nothing, while people just come in and do these TikTok challenges and showing their feet on OnlyFans and making unbelievable amounts of money. Thousands of weekly.
I'll tell you something, right? So with your teachers and stuff like that, I think that to a degree, not necessarily the police and the firefighters are independent, but this is the issue that I have, particularly with the public education system, because you did mention teachers. Teachers do get paid a pretty decent salary, and then they get the pensions, and this is the problem, right? This goes back to the problem of whenever you take on this liability, you get those pensions, and it inflates the budget, right? Whenever I was young in Fort Worth, right? It was a high crime, but we were also Texas was actually a Democratic state at the time.
Yeah.
We couldn't afford the budget was getting too inflated, so we couldn't afford the law enforcement to go troll downtown. So what did the mayor of Fort Worth do whenever crime started to go up and it was he hired private security, because why? You didn't have to worry about paying them pensions, so it kind of lowered the cost at the same time. And they ended up cleaning up downtown. The deal is that when you look at the public school system, teachers are set up for an allotment, and this is something that's going to blow your mind. You got bad teachers and you got good teachers, and they're all paid. This is exactly what Stephen was going with whenever he was sitting there saying that, I'm paying you all $14 an hour starting out, and it's not fair that somebody has more experience. Now, okay, let's say we take that education system that all the left, right, they want to throw more money in it. You know how much the state pays for each kid on average to go to school a year?
I don't.
$20,000 a year. They're throwing in billions and billions into the public education system. Now think about that. Let's say you go ahead and give that money to the parents for you to go ahead and pick what education that your child gets. Let's say you're a teacher, right? Let's say you're a good teacher, a high quality teacher, know this shit red hot, students show up, students love you. You're the best teacher, right?
Yeah.
If you were to go ahead and privatize education and allow the private market, first off, you would get a better quality of education. That would be first off, right off the bat. The teachers that are teaching right now that are really good, and this is why the bad teachers are the ones that don't want a private option.
Yeah.
Because if you were to sit there and say, okay, I'm going to go ahead, there's a market here now. I'm going to go ahead, get me a building and say, I'm going to go ahead and, open up enrollments for me to go ahead and teach the curriculum, to teach what I think needs to be taught. then there would be a market out there. If
Facts.
people are going to pay you $22,000, say a year, and you have like 10 students, you're going to make a hell of a lot more than working in the fucking government industry because there's a market there. You're going to be highly sought out. The teachers that are going to weeds itself out. The bad teachers are not going to be successful. They're going to have to find something else. The good teachers are going to make more money, and they deserve to make more money because they're good teachers and they have a passion for it.
I guess my main point when I was speaking about teachers underpaid is, so like I said, I was a substitute teacher, and my ex-wife was a teacher at one point, and it was elementary school, but still the amount that she was underpaid for what she did, and so this is the way I look at it. We're molding the youth, and that is what, like, she was grossly underpaid for what she did, and that really opened my eyes up to, like, these people are responsible for molding and shaping the future, and they are not getting paid enough. They're getting 30, 40 kids per room. They're not getting the things they need to take care of them, and we wonder why the shit's the way it is now.
Oh, and I even heard y'all got to dig out of y'all's
care.
pockets too to cover, like, if they want, like, let's say, like, cakes or ice cream or something, like treats, or school supplies. In some cases, the teachers have to actually pull money out of their pocket to pay for it.
But here's the deal. Like, you know, you look at, and I'm not putting this on your wife or anything because it comes from the state level.
Well, she's my ex-wife now, so it doesn't.
Well, then fuck that bitch then, right? You know, no, it comes from the state level, right? The curriculum comes from the state level, and you know, it's nothing against your ex-wife. Your ex-wife probably had a passion for doing teaching, and that's where it all starts. You know, go back to the Bible for, you know, anything that you put love in, anything God says, anything you do in my name, which means anything that you love, that you do, and you're passionate about, you're going to succeed at. And whenever you look at the state running it, the state isn't going to put anything like that into anything. So you look at the product that's coming out now, and it's not your wife's fault, or your ex-wife's. It's not her fault. But these kids are coming out with more depression, more anxiety, more resentment. They're coming out spiteful. They're coming out entitled. They can't really think for themselves. They claim that they have critical thinking, but you lack anything considered critical. So, yeah, it's not a very good product. And this is something that I told Steven on his podcast last week after the Texans Colts game, was that, you know, this product, the current condition that humans are finding themselves in and getting progressively worse, is not going to be able to sustain itself. It's not. If my generation dies and the workers die of this generation, a lot of these new generations that are coming up are not going to be able to take care of themselves because they're not going to do the hard physical labor that we do. You know what I'm saying? They're just not going to be able to.
And I'll tell you this, as someone that has worked with the youth and still works with, when I say the youth, I'm talking about kids probably between the ages of 15 to 25. Now, I know 25-year-olds aren't kids. I'm 36, so to me, they're kind of kids. And before, I can tell a huge difference before I start speaking with them and working with them as compared to after. Dude, if we don't have leaders that truly step up and try to help mold and shape the youth and the generations to come, we are completely and utterly fucked. I mean, there's zero doubt about it. And I'm not one of these, I don't know how to explain this. I'm not one of these people that's like shitting on any generation or
you're not like
get off my lawn
argument. Yeah. You're actually trying to be honest and upfront.
Right?
Yeah. It's like they cannot take care of themselves. They can't. They do not know how to think.
What are we going to do when the baby boomers and the Gen Xers retire? Because those are like the last of the working people I've seen in these stores, or like retail or security or any forms of work that I've been in. Like anybody over the age of 40 is like most of them are like good quality workers, like 99%. Then everybody under 40 is like the opposite of 99% are bad quality workers. And that's the problem we're having right now, the wedge.
Yeah, and see, like, whenever I say, because whenever I got let go because of the thing that shall not be named, right?
Thou shalt not take that name.
I'll do a few jobs, right? Between them. So I was working with various different age ranges and stuff like that. I was working up until this point, I was working amongst my peers mainly with two other Gen Xers. And we kind of covered down, looked out for each other. We were dependable. We were going to show up, and we looked out for each other. Covered down. The job was easy. You know what I'm saying? Because we're working. So whenever I got let go of that job, because I wouldn't do that thing that shall not be named, I went to another job, right? And I told Stephen Rose about this. Stephen Rose knows. Unloading heavy toilets is what I was doing. Big plumbing, big kitchen sinks. Some of these things weighed up to like probably 120, 200 pounds. Some of these fucking things that I was picking up and shit. And like I said, I'm 45 right now. So it's probably 43, 44, something like that whenever I was working there. Everything just seems like a blur now. But I was working with, there was another guy that was working with me that was like 52 or something, a little bit older than me. And we were doing, we would do a truck and a half, unload a truck and a half before these 20 to 30-year-olds could unload one truck. And then they would sit there and talk about getting a gym membership. It's like, I'm getting my workout working in the back of these fucking trucks and getting paid for it. And you're talking about, and so, they'd be like, oh, well, this is slave labor. This isn't slave labor. All right. They have a defeatist mindset. And so, like, when you get a guy like Steven's age, who's in his 20s, that would work with the Gen Xers, they would work their ass off. But whenever they got around the millennial workers, your age group, and the millennials were like, the whole power fist and the whole entitlement and this is slave labor, they wouldn't do that. They would get defeated because they were around that.
Hey, Frank, let me use the restroom quick. Go ahead and keep talking. Give me 5 minutes. I'll be right back. I got to use the restroom.
And I would go over there to the trucks, and then the 30-year-olds would be like, well, back in my days, and they would be trying to talk to me like they had more life experience than me. And it's like, dude, I'm older than you are. It's like I'm older than you are. I've been around the world. I know how life works. Why are you trying to tell me about shit whenever it was your age, whenever I've already lived through that? You know what I'm saying? I was around before the internet, all right? So it's just like, I see that a lot. And like I said, your generation was the start of it. But like I said, right now you get guys like, and it's not y'all's fault. Like I said, a lot of that generation, it just so happened that you had the Clinton era come in, and then
Am I a millennial?
Huh?
Am I a millennial?
Yeah, you're a millennial. You're 36, right?
Yeah.
Well,
shit, I don't keep up with that. But I probably would actually agree with you on that, man. I've noted. Well, okay. Well, let me just say this. I agree with you, but I also, to a point, disagree with you, because I have noticed that a lot of people in my age group and age range are trying to step up and be leaders now. And I've noticed that like some older people that I've worked with have that entitlement thing, thinking that,
well, I will tell you this.
The older, it's not everything.
Oh, no, I'm just saying the older you get, the more conservative that you become. You know what I'm saying? Where when you're younger, you're a little bit more liberal. Now, my generation was just as liberal, probably maybe even to a degree more liberal than the millennials were. You know what I'm saying? This is why you didn't have the racism. Really, at the end of the day, they're going backwards. The millennials kind of went backwards. But whenever I was in school, nobody said that there was a specific school for white people. There was a specific school for black people. We all went to the same school. So this is whenever you started to get people that cared a lot less about race, that cared a lot less about homosexuality, that these weren't issues for us.
No.
If, you were either, we were friends or we weren't. You had your clique, I had my clique. But, at the end of the day, we ended up working together. It was more team oriented back for the Gen Xers. This is why the Gen Xers are really, really good workers. Now you have the millennials coming in, and the millennials are finally starting to get tired because I guess they put in so much socialism. I could not stand socialism, and believe it or not, you could be a liberal and not be a socialist. And in fact, communism and socialism is just the opposite of liberalism, but they somehow convinced you to believe that socialism and communism are the same thing as liberalism, and they couldn't be further apart. So, like I said, the older that you get, the more conservative you're going to be. It's personal responsibilities. I don't really care one way or the another about homosexuality, as long as the homosexuals understand that there's consequences for being homosexuals outside of just prejudice. You know what I'm saying? There are consequences. You got STDs, you got a lot of stuff. It's not a good lifestyle. It is a sin. I'll never support homosexuality, but I'm not going to judge somebody based on if they're a homosexual or not. You know what I'm saying? So that's two different things. So now we have the Democrats, right? The Democrats were the bigots, like I said, whenever I was young. They were the ones that were affiliated with the KKK in the 80s and in the 90s.
Yeah.
And now you have these people that are putting in power that are pretending that, they're the ones pushing all the anti-racism and shit like that. But they're the same fucking extremists. And to expect a bunch of white nationalists to be in your best interest if you're a black person, it's not very smart. It's not very wise to go ahead and trust these people.
Yeah.
And so now this is why you get so much animosity towards the homosexual community. It isn't necessarily because you're a homosexual. It's whenever you start to push this shit into schools. It's whenever you start to put it into Disney movies. Then you go ahead and you give the opposite side all the ammunition. So all these parents that were otherwise neutral back in the 90s that didn't care about, whether you were black or homosexual, as long as you were, you lived your life and you allowed us to live our lives, and you didn't shove it. Whenever you start to shove this shit into society and force it into people and put it into people's faces, now people are going to have a problem. And so that ends up being the issue. And like I said, it's not your fault because that's what they were doing. So to a degree, they did the same thing. Right now, Steven's generation, a lot of these people that are coming out now don't even know if they're male or female. And they feel like they can just identify any which way. And that's not going to be
Say it louder.
them.
That's so true. No, absolutely. You just said it on the nail. You got, and I love millennials to death, but I just got to be honest with you. Like, when it comes to like the racial issues, I tend to hear it from them more about like, racial inequality, oppression and stuff. Not every millennial, but when I hear that like the leftist ones talk, that's what they mainly bring up. The Gen Zers are more of like, identity, who do you identify as? What about social, economical, climate change and this? And I'm like, dude, I don't got, and then work balance life. They're the ones that talk about this. And it's like, dude, it sucks because it's like when I work with people older, like I got a guy that works in my security team, right? He's like 80 something years old, Nigerian guy. He's probably like in his 60s. And me and him, we just like, he does his job, man. Like we're busting people left and right, stealing in the stores and stuff. And we work as a team. When I told him my age, he was like, how old are you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm about to be 26 coming up. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah. He's like, man, it's hard finding guys under like 35 that actually are dependent. I said, I know. I said, I get that a lot. And he said, well, whoever your father is, he taught you well. Which is true because I learned my good work ethics from my father. He woke me up at 11 when I was 11 years old, told me, you want to get a job? I'm like, yeah, I want to teach you value of money. Come on, let's go. And he started showing me the ropes in the business and stuff, construction. And then he got me a job washing cars during the summers in the 7th and 8th grade. And then I worked doing landscaping for a little bit in 9th. And then in 10th grade, I got my first job at Kroger's bagging groceries. I worked all throughout high school and even in 7th and 8th grade. So I started getting that work experience and I started understanding the value of the dollar and understanding that, you know, money has to be earned, it's not given, and that kind of ordeal. You got to work for something if you want it. And so I was taught those values early. So then when I got out of high school, I understood what life was all about. And that's how I was able to be so productive. You know, I'm a team player. People say, you're a wonderful team player. I love it. I enjoy working with you. I got security companies calling me, telling me, I hear good things about you. I want you to come work for us. This, and that. And you know, it's gonna suck when I have to tell them I'm gonna work for the county now, for the state, coming up in a month, because it's gonna take them a month for them to run my information over. But I got an interview coming up actually next month for them. It takes a whole month for it to go by. But yeah, I'm gonna be working for the county, and I know the security company's gonna miss me, but you know, it's, you know, the thing is now so many people bitch and complain. It's like nothing's ever enough for anybody, and it's like, you know, then they want Saturdays and Sundays off. Then they call in every other day, and it's just like it's hard finding dependable people. It really is, because
Dude,
people are so entitled. You know.
I'm gonna say like two things, and I'm gonna have to run in the restroom myself.
Go ahead, brother. Take your restroom break. I did mine.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's two things. One, I personally do not blink like whenever I say this generation coming up or whatever, or people in there like most people aside from an exceptions like you that's like 25 below. When I say that we're fucked if something ever happens and there's not leaders that step up, I don't personally blame them. I truly believe, and I'm not giving them a pass. I'm not giving them excuses, but I truly believe that they were fucking programmed. I believe they were brainwashed. I think most people were. I just think the internet was around and they went deeper into it than we did at the time.
Mhm.
And God damn it, what was I going to say on that second thing, man?
Social engineering. The social engineering. We're becoming more domestically lazy. You know.
You know, and like you know, you look at the guys that are in right now that are your age, and you got like guys like Vivek who are just, you know, doing, you know, sound bites.
Yeah.
You get guys like Ron DeSantis who is just thinking that he's saying stuff. They say stuff. These are the people that are leaders, even in my generation. The people in my generations. I think Ron DeSantis may be my generation, but you know, they're just saying sound bites. They're not
okay.
saying anything. Go ahead.
Yeah, I remember what I was going to say. And again, I'm very open. I'm very honest about my past, how I used to be. I don't keep it a secret. I used to be one of those entitled people.
Same here.
And I used to think that I was owed everything, and this is very unfortunate. But my friends, I'm not saying this to brag. I'm just being honest. I was making $300 a day, and I was doing very minimal work.
Nice.
And I'm talking about minimal. I was just a mouthpiece for a company. And that was not enough for me. I wanted more. And I had what the American dream was. I had a beautiful wife. I had amazing children. I had a nice house. I had these cars. I had that money. And I was fucking entitled and wanted more. And do you know what it took for me to be appreciative of things? And this is one of the cruelest things ever. I lost every fucking bit of it. And then, and only then, was I able to fully appreciate it. I was on the brink. I don't want to talk I'm just being again honest. I went from being like that to being truly concerned for a moment if I was going to become homeless. Really think about that. And that's what it took for me to appreciate things. So we really need we really need people to step the fuck up and leaders to step up to install into the children in a loving way. Like it doesn't need to be tyrannical, and it doesn't need to be like this old school shit where it's like nose to the grindstone, fuck your feelings. Like we need loving people to step up, but make sure shit is tightened up and there's true leaders. Because if not, I'm not sure what it'll become.
Yeah.
Because I'm just from personal experience. Sorry, go ahead, brother.
I said leaders lead by example. And when your
Yeah.
example is people like Clinton or Trump or any of these other people, what example are they really setting for you for the most part?
None. None.
Yeah.
Bad examples.
You
But
know,
I mainly say this, and then again, I'm gonna run to the restroom real quick. I mainly say this because I do not want anyone that comes across any of my videos or this video or whatever to ever have to learn some of these lessons I've learned the way I've learned them.
Absolutely.
I took my mother passed away. I'm not saying this for Boohoo's story, but I lost my mother, my aunt within 20 days of each other. 6 months later, I asked for a divorce from a wonderful wife that would have had my back till the end. I did not enjoy time with my children the way I should have. I did not enjoy the things I had the way I should have, and it fucking destroyed me. Like it really. I'm telling you guys, I was pushed to the brink of no longer wanting to be here, and if it wasn't for Christ and God, I would not have had the strength to even be here today to talk to you.
and I think
don't want anyone to deal with that.
I think that that's why, because we've actually had, you and I have had like a little bit of heat, because ever since I started doing YouTube, I've always been, not worried about me being a Christian and whatnot. So I was a Christian before I even started my first YouTube channel. And I know that you and I, because at that point in time, you were going through your little atheist thing. So we would have a little bit of heat and stuff like that. And what you're saying right now is exactly why I was coming out and trying to sit there. And, you were considering me kind of like a high roader, but I wasn't trying to high road. Basically, I made some mistakes, much like you did, taking a lot of stuff for granted. And the reason why I was trying to go out there and put out the videos like I was doing and stuff is so people like you didn't have to go through and learn those tough lessons like I did. But, still, iron sharpens steel, you know what I'm saying? A hard metal. So you get sharpened, you overcome that, you become a Christian. Like I said, whenever you're a Christian, your life doesn't immediately become better. You just appreciate what you have more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you learn how to appreciate what, God supplies you, instead of sitting here like a pestilent kid demanding more and more and more, because that's what makes you stronger,
And I'm gonna run the restroom real quick. You guys talk, and then I'll jump
Go
back
ahead.
in.
Do your restroom break, bro. Get it. I had to do it I had to do it earlier, so go ahead, get it over with.
No worries. I'll be right back, boys.
Hey man, I appreciate all these new guys you got on your channel. I know who David W is, and Will obviously, but all these new trolls you got, man. They might have came from my channel, to be honest with you, because I'm always promoting your shit. So if David Williams came over here from my channel to come to yours, obviously, then the others had to have done the same.
So,
and I get trolls that come on my shit. So
it's hard for me to sit there and respond to everything like on your channel.
Yeah, the Amazing Atheist. Like I knew that guy. Like I used to follow him, and I used to go on his live streams when we talk on off there Google Hangouts. When Google
dude, I know.
Yeah,
he believes in.
I asked him if he knew you. He's like, I know him, and I've owned him on Twitter. I've owned him. I would own him in a debate twice on Sundays. That's what he would tell me.
He never owned me, and he threatened to block me. And his own subscribers, well, why don't you just counter his points? Because he couldn't counter them. Because he believes in like the new monetary theory. The dude's a utter fucking socialist. And the thing is that you just gotta fucking know common math to fucking own you, because socialism. And so, tried to explain why his shit wasn't working, because he believed in like universal health care. The single payer system. Single payer system isn't gonna work, man. It's going to be absolutely fucking insane. It would collapse the dollar. We're seeing the fucking shit that I was telling him now with the hyperinflation that we're seeing now.
Facts.
So, my shit was proven. It was proven. So, your shit isn't, and it won't. But, what do you think about that Houston Texans game?
I thought it was a good game, man. And I like how we dominated, man. It was a lot of back and forth, 3 and outs, and then We jumped up to 3-0 lead. Browns take the lead, and then we score a touchdown. They score, and then ever since then, we scored 35 unanswered points. Really could have dropped 60 on them if we wanted to, but we were being nice at the end. And
am I the only motherfucker that had the Houston winning the fucking division with like an 11-6 or a 10-7 record?
yeah,
The only motherfucker. I should have put money down on it because everybody said I could have never predicted this. You can go to Kev's channel right now and see me sitting there saying that the fucking Texans are going to win the division.
facts.
And that's only because y'all drafted the motherfuckers that I wanted to draft in the later rounds. Jared Patterson and fucking Juice Scruggs. I was looking at those motherfuckers for our line, and y'all drafted them, and I'm like, shit, well, I could tell D'Amico's trying to win, you know. So
Yeah.
whenever he traded off that Cleveland pick and whenever he traded off, and see, the thing is that whenever he traded with y'all beating Houston, he just justified trading off the Cleveland pick because that means you will get a higher pick than Cleveland because he traded y'all's pick away. He traded Houston's pick away, and he kept Cleveland's pick. So he ended up increasing the value of that pick. If he would have traded up his pick, then yeah, he would have had a lower pick. But now he's going to have a higher pick because he kept it. So I knew that when D'Amico did that, I'm like, yeah, y'all are going to win that division. I knew it. I knew that y'all were going to win that division. Even the motherfuckers that I work with that are big Houston Texans fans. Oh, we ain't going to the playoffs, but we're doing better than I thought we would do. Dude, y'all are going to win 10 games at least. Y'all are going to win double-digit games. So, but yeah, I thought I looked at it and.
So what do you think about Amazing Atheist? That would be funny if you actually jumped on a live with him.
I would definitely try to jump on.
I'll own him in the debate. I'll own him twice on Sundays. That's what he told me. I'll own him twice on Sundays.
I pissed him off last week because he put up a post talking shit about Tim Pool, and he goes, "This guy just masculinity." I'm like, "Not you, motherfucker! Scream masculinity." You don't scream masculinity, and Tim Pool don't scream masculinity. Y'all are crying about each other. There's nothing masculine about the fucking shit. And boy, he got pissed. And he took my picture off of Twitter and throw it. If I look like this, I wouldn't be talking.
Yeah. He said something like that.
And I'm like, dude, that's my fucking profile picture. Why are you sharing my profile picture in the same fucking thread that I'm commenting in? Like you've done something.
Was that supposed to be his mic drop moment?
I don't get it. It's on my page. People that would come in here and look at this fucking conversation and wanted to know what I fucking look like could just hit the goddamn profile picture of my account and then see the picture on my profile. You didn't
even find you on Facebook if you wanted to. It was not that hard.
It's dumb. Why are you doing this shit? It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make you look.
Prodigal said I could have given you the pictures myself.
I could send you pictures, all right? But he goes, I wouldn't be talking, and it's like, it is what
Man,
it is.
dude, he gets so triggered when I bring your name up. He gets fucking triggered. Like the last time I spoke to him, I think it was maybe 2020 or some shit, 2021. And I asked him if he knew who you were. He's like, I don't know who he is, man. That guy's always coming to my channel and stuff like that. He brings none to the debate. And I would own him in the debate. I said, and he gets so triggered when he hears your name.
The only time I talk to TJ is whenever I'm on Twitter. I don't go to his channel. Every once in a while, I have done videos on TJ before on my channel, but I very rarely go to TJ's channel. Fucking Jacqueline's a little bit different of a story because I think Dark Horse shared some shit with me and Robbie Battle shared some shit with me. So that's how I come across her channel. TJ's a little bit different. The dude's just, I don't consider him, I don't think I would take any of his fucking philosophy. It's kind of like Vaush or whatever the fuck. Any of these secular YouTubers, I wouldn't follow. They're not going to give you anything. All they're going to do is sit there and they're going to tell you all these problems. Oh, everything is racist. Everything is bigoted. Everything's homophobe. So you have to follow them to sit there and listen to them, sit there and cry about problems that really don't exist. However, they don't have any solutions though. You know, they don't tell you how to fix any kind of problems that they pretend. Oh, it's all socioeconomics for Vouch. Everything is socioeconomics. Well, how are you going to fix the fucking pretendo problem that you claim? You just don't have any solutions, do you? You're just blowing fucking smoke out of your ass.
Facts.
That's dude. That's insane. I mean, I've just came to this realization over and over. It's almost like we came to a point in society that we just create fucking problems and that are not there, and then argue about them. And that's telling to me, it's like I don't know how to take it or handle it because I've been guilty of it myself, and I may still do that to a degree because like some of the things I brought up to you guys that really, and I'm not sure, but the things that really bother me and concern me are the way I used to behave. Like I said, taking my family for granted and losing them and all that, and trying to prevent people from making the same mistake. So when I hear people talking about these made up problems that they have whenever they have a real family in front of them, or they have actually real things they should be focusing on, concerned about, and working towards, it's very discouraging, and I think it's very telling about where we're headed as a society in a whole. Like I don't know. Like I said, we need leaders, guys.
Okay, let me ask you guys this. Do you think we make it to this election? Let's not talk about the end of the year. What do you expect the outcome of this election?
What I expect. I expect Trump will win. I expect the Republicans will take over by a landslide. And I expect them to, by 2024, 2025, probably, maybe 2025 to 2026, start implementing. And like I said, this is all based on Revelations. My understanding of the book of Revelations and how it's all going to go from the Bible is that, you know, and like I said, at this point in time, it's got to the point to where it's kind of like, I can go out, and this is one of the reasons why I kind of wanted to do this video on my channel, is because I wanted this information up. So if anybody comes out there, this is a lot of the shit that I do is for it's for you know, just to have it here on the internet so nobody can sit there and say, oh well, I didn't know, I spoke on it, you know. And so I think that what they're going to start doing is implementing slowly but surely that theocracy. And like I said, that just seems to be where we're going. And to further in what Blake was sitting there saying about the internet and creating more problems, and I don't know if any of y'all noticed this neither. Like one person can sit there and say something. Let's take Rachel Ziegler girl from fucking Disney or whatnot. Everybody who talks movies will be talking about that. It's like Operation Mockingbird's back on the internet. And this is one of the ways that I think that they brainwash people. And it's like you look at the sports thing where everybody says the same thing on these internets anymore. Used to, Blake would have a different opinion than I would. You know, if you know the Rock came back to WWE, I would say that, oh man, the Rock is back. Blake is going to have a different reaction to it, or he may be looking at the Undertaker match or something. You know, whatever he was into. Steven would be talking about some sports or whatnot. But it seems like every category, it's like Operation Mockingbird here on YouTube now, where they're all talking about the same shit, trying to brainwash everybody who's still invested on these sites. I noticed quite a bit. They don't fucking, it's almost like they're parroting each other. So if one person has a problem with Kanye, everybody has a problem with Kanye. And then they sit there and water it down with just nothing but Kanye. No matter what you want to see, that's all they're talking about on the internet. So yeah, I figure I'll go ahead and mention that too. But I'll go ahead and kick it over to Blake.
Well, I'll reiterate this again. I'm not even sure we make it to the election. I damn sure don't think we make it out of 2024, at least the way that reality is currently structured. If we do make it to the election, I do not know the outcome. I do not think that Joe Biden will win. So I guess if Trump gets the nod, it'll be him. If it was up to me, it would be some younger person that had a better grasp on reality and how to run things. But if Biden or Trump wins, either one, dude, I don't see it going well. I mean, I don't think we make it to the election the way it is now. But if we do, we're gonna have to vote between two old fuckers again, and it's gonna be the same old bullshit again, and it's just gonna keep going downhill. That's just my opinion.
Facts. Say it louder. That's why when people get mad at us for criticizing Trump, we're like, we actually give you legitimate reasons. And like, just because the pendulum is swinging far right does not mean it's good. Like, because everyone says, oh, the pendulum's swinging far left. You said, you and Prodigal Hill said the pendulum is swinging left and it's going to swing right. I said, yeah, but when it swings right, it's not going in the center. It's going far fucking right. Which far right is just the opposite of far left. It's the same thing. It's just the opposite of. So it doesn't.
Exactly.
The results are not going to be good either way. That's why I'm saying that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If it was up to me, we would have at least 3 to 5 legitimate candidates to choose from, and also we would have again an age limit for running. Like I don't think you should run for president if you're over 60, really over 55. But if it was up to me, there would be a younger person in, maybe someone 35, because you got to be 35 to run or something.
Yeah.
So if it was up to me, you would have someone between the age of 35 to 45 win and implement, well, I don't want to say radical changes, but have a different vision for the future and actually have a grasp on what's going on out here in real reality and try to help and not just benefit themselves and be a puppet for it. As much as people want to say Trump wasn't a puppet and he was, dog, listen, Trump was he might not be as big as a puppet as Biden, but he's a talking figure too.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So anyways, hey guys, I'm going to go ahead and fix it and get ready to wrap this up.
All right, man. I appreciate you guys. We had a killer conversation. In fact, we 3 need to do this again, bro.
I'm down.
Maybe we could do it next Saturday.
Okay, yeah. I'm game.
I'm good.
Like I said, my hours are 7 to 3.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm going to go wrap it up because I took some sleepy pills, so they're fixing to start kicking in.
All right, you guys take care, man.
Hey, you on Facebook, Steven?
Yeah. Me and Prodigal Hill are on the same. We're friends on there, so I don't know if you were friends with him.
Yeah, well, I'll find you through there, dog. And yeah, man, I'm free most nights.
Prodigal, DM him mine. Like you could screenshot it, DM him mine, or send a link, copy URL, and then he can then notify me on there and like add me as a friend, and I'll accept it.
All right. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, I'll go ahead and put the channels up in the description box below. As soon as the video is uploaded, I'll go ahead and work on it. Probably tomorrow. I'll put your channels in here, and then yeah, we'll go ahead and try and set something up for next week then.
Okay.
I just want to say this to end this. Anybody watching this, connect with God, follow Christ, and believe in yourself, and be an example. Step up and be a leader. Don't follow the crowd and go along with the shit show. That's all I want to say. And thank you guys for watching.
All right. Tell people like, sub, do the shit the internet tells us to do to get over. And for now, we're out.
See you.
Peace.